Radio Shack. Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCo Nation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Hello, everybody. Let me shut this other thing off here. Stop. Dang iPad.
Whatever you do, don't press the big red button.
All right, welcome to episode 298. Did I get that right? Yes. 298. We made it. Another week. Let's see. Let me push this button over here.
I should mention we did have an interview planned for today, but it's going to be postponed. Just we couldn't connect. I was too busy with work to contact, and I guess he didn't see the email. So we'll reschedule that. We'll keep you posted. Next week's interview is still on, though.
Curtis, you need to make CoCo Nation priority over your work.
Well, both of us kind of missed the ball on that one. It wasn't just me.
Yeah, share the blame.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to make CoCo Nation pay better.
Well, talk to Terry about that. I don't handle that side of the.
I believe that's what they call a division by zero error.
Let's
Well,
see.
we're in trouble because I thought that's all Grant did.
Cut paychecks.
Oh, sorry. I guess they got lost in the mail.
Well, he's I mean, Grant's certainly not here to be pretty.
Okay, panel
Good job.
introductions.
I thought he was pretty petty.
First up, we have Rick Euland.
Well, now I know why they're paying me twice as much. Howdy, folks.
Yep. That's twice in a row you were first up, weren't you? I don't remember. All right, next over, Grant Leedy.
Hello, everybody. I'm just showing off my sexy T-shirt today.
Okay.
Good job.
Oh boy.
I'm glad that's where he went.
Oh, and also, I just want to add too, if you're from the state of Ohio, I do not like you this week.
Kitty
Is
goes
this a
now.
given,
baseball
isn't
thing
it?
or something?
Okay.
Because
Care to elaborate?
Kansas
worry, no one
City is
likes you
playing
anyway, Grant.
Cincinnati.
Kitty go meow.
Yeah, we're playing the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow. So
Oh, who cares about football?
Oh, this is
I
sports
don't.
ball. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's not hockey, so it doesn't matter.
That's right, eh?
Curling
And
for the win.
and next up, we may or may not have Brian Schubring.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, it worked.
Yeah, it worked, and there's my Coco.
All right.
Good job.
Next over, yours truly, and I also got a shirt in the mail. Woohoo! Yay! All right, next up, who also has a gray shirt on? Mark Overhoser.
It's a NASA one though. Glad to be here.
Space flight.
Hey, all good.
Did you see Curious Mark this week?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Part 29 of the Apollo guidance computer.
Cool.
Let's see. Next up, Sloopy Malibu.
Greetings.
And next over, GMRI.
Howdy, CoCo Nation.
And L. Curtis Boyle.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
Next row, Ron Delvaux.
Hello. This is what COVID looks like.
Like an audio spectrum
Nice.
analyzer. Is that mounting your vitals in the back there? What is it
Yeah.
doing?
He's in the yellow.
Careful, we might like
Help,
it.
help.
We might like this
Help.
better.
Is that flatlined now?
It does look kind of froze back there, doesn't it?
No, that's
a
just
picture.
Out.
It's a photograph.
Oh. Well, like one of those stereo opticon things.
Yes,
It
all
came
your
out
stereo
rather-
opticon images of the Crimean War. Yes.
Okay, let's see. Next up, Brian Weasler.
Hello, all. How are you doing?
Okay, pretty good. Ken Waters.
Hello, everybody.
Looks like you got the weed shirt today.
Yep.
Nothing's in bloom.
Let's see. Jason Reichard.
Howdy. And I've got my Diet Dr. Pepper and water just in case David Ladd doesn't show up.
Okay.
Good deal.
And the guy driving on the wrong side of the road, Terry Stiggy.
Luckily, I'm not driving today. I'm being chauffeured.
Oh, okay. All right. And
Welcome, everybody.
Last but not least, Nick Marentes.
Good day, everyone. I was surprised. I liked the intro to the show. It was quite professional. I thought I was on the wrong show for a while there.
That happens.
We've got a few good compliments on that intro. So props out. Who created that again? Was that Terry?
No, I think that was
Yeah, I
Hey,
did.
Bruce? Oh, dear.
Well,
was it? I thought it was Bruce.
Nope, I made. Well, which one are you talking about? The
That's
one
first of the
5 minutes before?
No, the actual show intro.
Oh, sorry.
intro.
Nope, that wasn't me.
oh, the whole
Bruce.
thing, really. The whole, yeah, everything, I guess.
Intro.
Well,
It's kind of like the pre-roll, wait
Yeah, the
until the show
pre-roll,
starts.
the
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
intro, everything. It all looked fairly pro. That's why I thought I was on the wrong show.
Well, we'll try. We'll try to fix it.
Others
I'll make a
it, I just
semi-graphic
stitch it
score
together.
one for you next week, Nick.
60 said it was the pre-intro I was talking about. That was Terry.
Yeah, Terry. Okay. Let's see. That takes care of the introductions. And first up today, we're gonna do updates and acquisitions because Brian Weasler, where'd you go? Oh, there you are.
He had to pull the semi truck around. He's at the CoCo convoy.
Let's see. What do I need to do here? Oh.
Are you okay
I'm
over there,
sorry.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm just.
He's just having a stroke. Don't mind him.
There he is. All right, there we go. I just couldn't. He kept moving around on me. I couldn't find him.
Oh, okay.
And I guess while that's going on, I'll make some co-hosts.
There you go. Oh, first of all, I was just going to show. I know Grant and Mark. I think you had a show or a T-shirt there. Here's the one I got. I got the blue version of the CoCo Fest one. So,
Yep.
And you can order yours. Mark, I could have Mark drop that in there at the Glenside CC My Spread Shop. Is that right? .com.
Yep.
Yep, it's not right there,
In
so-
a moment.
Yeah.
There you go.
They're really nice T-shirts, I have to say. I don't know if Grant was integral in decision making there with the quality of the T-shirt, but the logos have all been nice. The ones that were all submitted and everything, so it was hard to kind of decide which ones to get. So
How long did it take for you to get yours?
I'd say just about 2 weeks.
Okay, that's what mine is too. And just let you
Yeah,
know too,
but,
if you don't want T-shirts, you could buy coffee mugs and all sorts of other stuff too. So
Oh yeah, lots of different colors of shirts from pretty much anything that you want. So whatever's your favorite, you can get. So, first of all, I was just going to show one quick thing, and then I'm gonna get into this one item here that I think you guys will have enjoy seeing there. Let me switch my camera. And as promised, I have a better camera. So hopefully when you guys are seeing stuff, things will be in focus. Okay, let's see here. I even have buttons I can press so I can auto zoom in on stuff and everything. So,
Fancy.
so you guys may recognize this here. This
Yep.
is the MCX 32 SD there that the Ed Snyder makes, and I recently ordered one and got one in, so I need to get that get an SD card in there and get that fired up and start using it. That from everything I've seen with people posting stuff online, it really makes the MC10 almost a fun machine to use there. So, and the games that they do, so it'd be fun to play with this. So I'm going to enjoy that.
I'm trying to remember.
the
Does that
keyword
also
is
have the
almost.
extended basic?
I'm not 100% sure on that one if it has the ROM in there.
Yes, it does.
Ron, do you remember? Does it or
Yes.
Jason?
Sloop-
Okay.
Sloopy just said it
So,
does. So, yeah.
Sloopy said it, so it has the MCX basic in it then. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So, and
We're
like always, there it's a excellent product that that Ed always puts out there. So it's nice to see him putting some items back out there in inventory as well. So
I'm going to guess it's sold out again already, though, right?
No, actually, if I make one comment, they probably will be before the end of the day. I think there's 4 or
There's
3
4
available.
available right now. I'm just
It is
looking at
now.
them.
3,
You had-
2, 1, gone.
you had to say something.
We got a comment from Karen in the chat here. He said Robert Sieg has just recently posted that the board Gerbers and programming files for the MCX32 SD have been released.
Oh,
So if you can't get it because it's sold out again, and it takes Ed sometimes a while to get back to doing a product again because he has so many he has to cycle through. If you have the capability of making your own, like as far as skill wise, which means I wouldn't, you can
Not
actually
unless
get
you
files
want
and make it
burnt
yourself.
hair in it.
No, it wouldn't even work. It would be a melted slag of.
Well, I didn't
plastic.
say it would work. It just would have burnt hair in
It would be fuzzy.
it.
so this next thing I'd like to show you guys, it's a really cool thing there, and I just can't believe how many of these. I don't know how many of these were out there, but it's very interesting. But I thought I'd kind of make a little bit of a game out of it here, and show you all the different pieces that go with this thing, and to see who might guess what it is first as I start showing the pieces there. So I'll kind of show all the different pieces, and if you know what it is, then speak up, and we'll then I'll just show the rest of it then. But in the meantime,
It's
I'll
a
just kind of-
desk.
It's a desk. Yes. Bingo.
A swimming
Piece of
desk.
tape.
A piece of tape. There we go.
Looks
Okay,
like,
so
looks like
the first-
70s, maybe 80s.
the first item I'm going to show you is it comes with a pair of resistors. Not much to
It's
go
a
on.
shiny
there, Rick.
bag.
You can barely see the resistors there.
It's a disc controller kit.
There we go. See here. We'll zoom in a little bit closer there. There we go.
No, it's not
There
a
we
disc
go.
controller
Oh,
kit.
there
There, now you can probably even figure out what value it is too there. So there we
Looks like
go.
they're 820, maybe 820 ohm. I don't.
Here's it also comes with some diodes in this kit.
Days.
There you go.
Oh,
It's not a
Yeah.
disc controller kit.
Not a disc controller kit. Nope.
Okay.
So here is a bag of capacitors.
Hmm.
A Dragon motherboard.
Nope. No Dragon motherboard.
Is,
Nope.
is it a CoCo 2 kit?
Bingo.
is it a
Ron got it.
reproduction RS-232 card?
Ron guessed it. So he didn't
So
have to get very
it's-
far into the thing. So yes, this
Is
is
it
one of those
the
kits.
educational ones?
All right, I'll give
Educational
you my
kits.
address where you can send it to me.
Right. Right.
Will
So
you assemble it?
so you have to assemble it. And the reason I sent a message to Brian Schubring is, Brian, I believe you have one of these, correct?
He's mute.
He's mute.
Not,
Okay.
not anymore.
Not
Okay.
any. Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I'm not muted anymore. I don't have a CoCo 2 kit.
I thought you had one of the educational kits that you showed. That you had like the manual, the assembly manual, or something for it. I think you
That
shared one
was for the thing from what was it? The learning center stuff. The McGraw Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
For some
McGraw
reason I
Hill was.
thought-
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you had one of those, so I was gonna. That's why I sent you a message there to say that you were out of the guessing there because I didn't want you to pipe up right off the bat when you saw the bag there. So anyway, kind of continuing back with this then. So in this kit, it's kind of cool. They have they have all the resistors together as a package, and then they got some diodes. You already saw the other one. Here's another kit that comes with it. You have a little resistor array and a whole bag of other resistors. You can see that every bag has its own labeled number and everything. Here's another bag. I haven't opened up any of these bags yet. I've kind of kept it all together. But here's like the reset button. Here's the infamous relay that we always hear, the good old clicky click. Here's some diodes. Here's is that the crystal? Yep, that's the crystal right there.
Brian, I just wanted to mention we might have had a tie on who guessed that because Steve Rasmussen, Buck Owens in the chat also said it was the CoCo 2 kit.
Oh,
I think
okay.
they've got a lag on the chat, so
Maybe.
I think we'll give them both the win on that.
So
we'll have to go back and do a little. About to do an instant replay.
I don't
Well,
know
the
why
lag,
you
it's
did
kind of hard
that.
to tell.
So 100% new unused SAM, 100% new unused VDG. I mean,
This is about as close you can come to a virgin CoCo as you can get, I would guess. So,
So when you say it's a CoCo 2 kit, is this a kit that Tandy used to sell?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, it's a
For the
Tandy
educational
product.
market.
Right. Okay.
So here's all the different DIN plugs. Here's
It was like
the
part
the
of some electronics educational package. You actually built your own CoCo too.
here's the edge connector there, and the different DIN plugs.
Why didn't you show us the case first? Then we could have guessed it easier.
I think that was the point.
right. So here's some of the clips that go on there to hold the
keyboard.
insulator, the spring for the side door. Here's the ROM cartridge door. It even here's the
badge.
Oh, the
unstuck badge.
The badge is in there, and I believe, let's see here. That's
Are you sure this is new?
The copper foil that's in there. Here's the screws.
Hey, Brian, are you sure this is new and not a used one that somebody disassembled to send to you?
You'll see here in a moment. So yeah, here's the power supply kit. So some of the longer screws, some extra caps. I don't know if it's coming through there. There's the heat sink, and this is the power cord right here.
Does it have instructions?
Yep.
Does it
Forget
say
the word. So this
Hey,
is going to be
Brian.
one of the early CoCo 2s.
Does it
Mike
say
Miller
about having,
says-
It's a 64K one. The name badge says so.
does it say anything
Right.
about having parts left over?
what to do?
Forget the warranty badge. You got a lot of potential here to.
Mark,
Hey, Brian.
Yep.
Mike Miller says, come on, get to the money shot. Let's see the motherboard.
Okay. Yep. Well, I've saved the best for last,
Yeah.
actually. So, here's the RF box there. It even comes with the cord that goes with it and everything. And
Where's
even
the sound chip?
So
Oh, that's right.
here's the module that remember the switch box. It's not coming through very good, but that you'd switch
Oh,
between.
there it is.
Mhm.
The cleanest one you'll ever find, still sealed in hermetically plastic.
So
With a
did they
genuine
include-
90 CDR.
Did they include a warranty sticker?
I
gosh.
was trying to find out and see if that was in there. So here's
I doubt it.
here's all the different sockets.
Chips.
Mhm.
Sockets,
There's the sockets.
Yep.
Double
And then
white at
here's-
least.
And
And then here's
chips.
the bag of chips. So I'm assuming
So-
one of these is probably all the different chips that you got there. So
Yeah, probably the one that says
0809 is probably the CPU, I'm guessing.
Yep. And at the top.
So are you going to build this, assemble this?
no,
Nah.
no,
Yeah, it
I would
almost
be
looks-
tempted, but no, this will stay the way that it is.
This
Unless
is
you get to
way
second
bad.
one.
Thank goodness. I was getting nervous there. That's just
No, put it
because
all.
there's a lot of things like this, like the old Heath kit stuff from back in the day is
Yep.
and is as far as value goes, is worth more unassembled than it is assembled.
Yeah.
But just from a nostalgia point, this is even better unassembled.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's enough built CoCo 2s. There's no reason to build this one. You just
Right.
leave it
Here's
as is.
And it's
Let
just
me
like
bring
the
the
one
one
from
crap.
Revenge of the Nerds that has no name badge.
Do you
New
think the-
keyboard in the bag.
Do you think the keyboard works?
Well, I'm sure. So that's here. There we go. Yes. So it comes in the case. It's not even on there. This case is completely just really clean.
It's nice and white, I will say that.
Yep. So here's the keyboard.
And
all
it's
in
like
a-
most of our cases where the screws aren't in it. You can just lift the top off.
Yep.
Perfect.
And that keyboard has not begun to oxidize, I would guess.
Right. And here's here's even the little RF shield.
Unused.
And underneath here's the transformer.
Why is that copper or colored? It's a different color.
Yeah, it's silver on the bottom and then gold on the other side here.
Oh,
That's right. Yeah, that's normal.
okay.
Let me move this
Because you
out of the
don't
way
want the
here.
side towards the circuit board to be conductive. That would be bad.
And then here's the let me go one shot in here real quick there.
Ooh.
Maybe this might be too close, but there
Sure
we go.
looks tiny, don't it?
So yeah, it's all silk screen and everything, never been soldered on or anything.
You know, a
With-
nice photocopy of that inside even inside the bag, just a nice scan of that might be valuable.
Okay, yeah, I can do
There's
that.
a perfect CoCo board that's never
Oh wait,
been.
here.
Oh, it's
Here's
open.
Yeah, the bag's open on the one end there. So there we go. I'll go ahead and slide that out.
So yeah, that would be a cool historical thing. Is this is a production CoCo board?
Just, real high res picture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice to have.
No
Which
budget.
revision is it?
Turn
Send it
that
to
into a
Rocky.
Gerber file.
Oh, sorry. It's a B board, Rev B.
Ah. Oh, with the vertical RF case.
Right.
You said you got instructions with this for putting it together too, right?
Yep. Let me.
Do you have to put any bodge wires in?
Yeah, I haven't read the whole manual yet, but let's see here. Let me switch things around a little bit.
Did they do a CoCo 3 version of this as well?
Not
I don't
that I'm aware of.
know.
No.
So it even comes with the
Oh, you get the books.
get the books and everything.
You didn't have to assemble those.
Nope. And then here's
Where'd
the,
you find this?
what's that?
Where did you find it?
I hate to admit this, but I'm not 100% sure this came with that large lot that I bought because it was where I have all my stuff stored right now. This box was not with the rest of the stuff, so I don't know if it's something that was with it and I set it there. My first thought was, and I hate to admit this, I scrolled back through my purchasing history and I thought that this box, because I actually stumbled across this a week ago and I was opening the box and I was looking at it and it's like, what is this? And then I suddenly realized what it was that I had in my hand and I about dropped it. And I couldn't remember if this came with that large lot that I had bought, or my original thought was that I had bought this. I know I had bought a CoCo 2 online because it was in box and everything, and never opened it. I hate to admit that, but never opened it. I figured I was going to because I bought it because I've been trying to buy machines. But if I bought this, it had to have been over 2 years ago that I maybe had this and not even realized it.
What was this all in? A regular color computer 2 box?
Yeah, I can show you the box here in a second too. So I think this was part of the kit or part of the lot that I bought, and I just set it aside and just was going to look
Jason,
at it
you got
later.
a question? I can see you keep trying to say something here.
I think this just proves, Brian, that you need to admit that you have a problem.
I do. That's why I say I hate to admit it.
I bought this awesome kit and I just don't remember when or where.
Or how long ago.
How long? Yeah.
In sleep.
Okay.
I think we really need to have an intervention here with Brian.
That's why I was
Schedule
kind
an
of
intervention
fumbling.
on Saturday.
Yes.
That's why I was kind of fumbling
Brian,
with the words. So.
Brian, there's a question from Steve Rasmussen. It said, "Are these instructions the one you're showing on screen right now?
Yes.
Do you know if these are on the archive? Because this is a fairly rare package to get.
I don't know if it is or not, but this certainly would be easy to scan in here. So it starts out with basically part 1 preparation. It has like an inventory of all the different parts, and then and here for you, Curtis, soldering tips right here.
It needs to be a lot bigger section than that for me.
Soldering tip. Please note L. Curtis Boyle, stop here.
Well, basically saying, hire somebody.
Cut hair off.
Your name is L. Curtis Boyle. Stop. Just stop.
Yeah, just hire somebody.
So you start with the power supply, huh?
Yeah, let's say go through the power supply and start doing some assembling.
Yeah.
And
Make sure you aren't going to zap all your chips with your crappy misbuilt power supply.
Right.
So build it first, test it, and then put the delicate stuff in. That makes.
But yeah, this would be easy to scan in because it might be fun to read, and like you said, just to have it archived for.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that definitely needs to be in the archive if it's not there.
I like Tandy's production values of, okay, we're going to draw the diagrams, but then we're just going to type it up.
Let me get all the way to the back here. Just I'm kind of skipping a little bit here, but
Is that even a typewriter, or is that like a dot matrix printer?
No, it's a typewriter. They typed
okay.
all of Tandy's documentation, homemade, was typewritten, but they had beautiful drawings.
Okay, looks like this is kind of a checklist of some things that you need to probably. They're putting the badge on. There's assembling the ROM there. So, but
how many pages is that manual? Just out of curiosity, it looks like it's actually
pretty
fairly thick. It's not like square bound or something, but
110.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Wow, and there's plenty of pictures for the folks out there.
Let's see here. And Ron was asking about this question here. Let me move this here.
Hey, Mike Miller, which photos do you want, or photo of what?
So here's it even has the styrofoam blocks, and let me
Play box.
let me get the box is not pristine, but it's a little browned in spots and stuff like that. But I don't know if this is going to come through or not. My camera's probably not going to go high enough, but on the edge here it does say
it. Yeah.
You can kind of see it there. I'll go ahead and read it here. It's catalog number 260. It's a 3126, and it's a 64K extended kit. It actually says kit on the side of the box. So
cool.
Extended
nice.
kit. Wow.
So other than that, it
What's
looks
the
like a
serial
regular-
number?
Yeah, does it have a serial number plate?
No, I haven't found that. No, I haven't been able to locate the. Let me look here
Oh.
again. So here's the.
Oh, serial number, nothing.
Not stuck on the bottom of the case?
No, the bottom of the case is blank.
Well, no, because it was never made.
Hmm.
It's just parts. So it has no serial number. That actually
Yes,
makes
that
sense.
means there's no warranty sticker either.
Right. Yeah,
No.
yeah, it was never made. This is not a CoCo. This is a bunch of parts. It's a kit.
Right.
doesn't
It has
exist.
has the rubber feet in there and stuff, but as I don't even see a warranty sticker or anything like that. So nope, just a label.
Marco, have you seen? Is Mark Siegel in the chat today?
Yes, yes.
I was wondering, Mark, if you know how many of these kits were sold for the educational market. I'm just curious, like how many of
Yeah.
these were made.
And can I get one? I just want to see it. I want to lay it out on a piece of board and put a piece of plexiglass in front of it. And
Like
hang it
David
up.
Craker said, this is
I
likely the
could,
coolest thing he'll see today. And I just wonder if he's watching the same program.
So if this color computer is assembled, it wouldn't have a sticker on the bottom with the 26 dash number, right?
Correct.
Nope.
Or the
Right.
warranty sticker. Mark Siegel says no idea.
Huh.
So yeah, that was and so kind of back to Nick's question there. I kind of laughed a little bit because I was kind of embarrassed when I started thinking about it. It's like, did I buy this from somebody, and then just put it on my shelf with the rest of my CoCos, and was going to look at it at a later time and didn't realize what I had, nor did the person realize what they had, and they sold it to me? Or
You had a
was this
CoCo.
in with the lot? I was actually been chatting with the guy, and he said it sounded familiar, but the inventory spreadsheet that he provided me when I got the when I bought the lot from him, I can't find a mention of it in the spreadsheet. So I hope it was with the lot, because I would be less embarrassed, rather than knowing that I might have bought something and completely forgot that I had it and been sitting on the shelf for 2 years. So.
There's a
Less
comment from Steve
embarrassed.
Rasmussen, Buck Owens again in the chat. He says mine has no sticker, so it sounds like he has one of these kits too.
Okay, who is that?
Steve Rasmussen. He's
Okay.
known as
Buck
Buck
Owens.
Owens in our
Okay,
in our game challenge stuff.
is his assembled?
I will have to wait for his response. I got about a 10-second lag, and
Okay,
Yeah,
That's a
you've
good
got to
question.
think.
Go ahead.
You've got to think some people put it together and then just operated it and just got mixed in with the general population, if you will. So
right. I mean, yeah, there may be some CoCos out there that are just
that are this.
Yep.
yeah, because I mean, if they send it to schools for people to learn electronics and stuff, then I imagine there would be some schools might have had these kicking around too, kept them around.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they might, or
Well,
maybe
probably-
they.
Steve
probably
said, yes,
why
this
it
is
wins all the
assembled.
time.
He has all the bags.
Oh, cool.
No
One of these
sticker on the
assembled
bottom.
ones
All the
ever
games.
show up on eBay.
Is there any other pieces that anybody wants to see a little bit closer at all, or? Nope.
I'd like to see
So-
it all laid out. At
Give
a
it a moment to
display at the-
type.
at the fest. That would
Yeah,
be
I could
something to look
I could
at.
look at bringing this to the fest. Yep, I'm planning on being there. So
Just something to look at that no one has.
Is anyone familiar with the television show Hoarders? Do they still have that?
Yeah, it's filmed on location at Brian's house. So
I think there's like some kind of cash bonus if you can recommend someone for the show.
So no, I thought you guys would really get a kick out of it. I was just tickled pink when I suddenly realized it's one of those. It was like just a weird feeling, and I was like, because I opened the box and then the first thing that was sitting on top was this, and it's like, what is this? I thought maybe I put some stuff in the wrong box, thinking I just had a CoCo and I threw some stuff in there. It's like, I don't remember this, and I started digging around and I started seeing this, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my god! And I don't think I stopped laughing like a little girl for like 10 minutes, but I was just
yeah. Because I'm trying to remember, these were only done with the CoCo 2s. I don't think even the CoCo 1s had kits like this, did they?
No.
I know the 3s didn't, but
I'm guessing it's a one-shot deal.
I think Zipster has one of the kits that he got from somebody, and then obviously Buck Owens does. I've only heard of 3 or 4 people getting these, so and they were just the CoCo 2s.
Well, I mean, I got to imagine that there was somebody that went through an electronics program, and this was part of the deal for, you know, for the class, whatever. And they probably assembled it and took it home with them as part of the maybe they had to buy it, as part of the course. And
McGraw-Hill.
Okay,
you think it's McGraw-Hill?
Yeah, because they had a CoCo 3 program. I don't know if this is the CoCo that was as a kit form. They had that. They also had an IBM machine. They also had the Atari, I think, 800.
Okay.
Cool. So those were actual kits, Brian, or?
I don't know if the computers themselves were kits, but it's possible. I
remember you showed that off before. Where some like software for doing stuff, but I don't remember them.
Yeah, it was just the outboard, so you can do the testing and knowing how to program the port and the color computer using debug, color debug, and all that.
Okay.
So,
well, if I'm going to bring this to the fest, maybe I should have gotten 2 tables, Grant, instead of 1. So,
I mean, this kit here is, I don't think it's from McGraw because it's actually got a part number from Tandy up in the corner. So,
yeah,
and the box obviously says kit right from Radio Shack. So,
well, Brian,
and just let you know,
right next to mine.
We have 8 tables left. So if you need another one, book it now.
I think Brian's table's right next to mine, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Jason. Yep.
That sounds convenient for you, Jason.
Yeah, that is
distract him, and you'll.
What table
I have
numbers
some
do you
shiny
have?
aluminum foil for you, Brian, over there.
Look, shiny thing.
Hey, Jason, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Could you watch my table for me?
Our table didn't go anywhere.
What's on it though? I don't know what happened.
Right. So
there was stuff on it. What's a kit?
So anyway, no, I'm glad to be able to show this to you guys there today. So
yeah, I've heard about these, but I've never seen one. Especially it's still in bags and stuff like never touched. I've just never had a chance to see one. I think they are quite rare. And I imagine most of them got assembled. I wonder how many were accidentally destroyed because somebody like me tried to solder stuff.
Right? Probably 90% of them. Because they were disposable. When they were bought, they were disposable. So you went through your class, you screwed it up, you threw it away. Yeah.
Yeah, the bottom of the here's the bottom of the case there. It's just nothing there.
Yeah, one of these things would really cause a problem if one was ever auctioned off at CoCo Fest, since it doesn't have a serial number.
Did you find the bag with soldering tips?
No, no soldering tips.
That'd drive you nuts.
Brian Blake is thinking maybe NTI, maybe where the kits came from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were part of McGraw-Hill. Oh no, I'm sorry. Never mind. I take that back. Yeah, NRI.
Yeah, I get a scan of the board. I can get a scan of the manual, and I could get that up to the archive there.
Yeah, check the archive just in case somebody has scanned the manual before. I doubt it, but I don't want you to waste like 110 pages. That's going to take you a while.
But luckily, it's just stable. It's not perfect bound, so you can scan it without killing it. So that's
right.
That's nice.
And your new camera, we had some compliments. Your new camera's working well.
Yeah,
good. Things aren't going in and out of focus there. So yeah, and it,
well, they usually before on your old camera, they just went out of focus and stayed there.
Right. Yeah,
this is a lot better.
Yeah, this one here, it's not to go off subject though, but
takes it a second, but then it snaps in and it's good. Now come on,
that zooms in pretty good.
There.
Hey, by the way, Brian, Erico says love the cleaned up visuals. So you have at least one fan with the new camera.
There we go. So yeah, I can really zoom in with it. So
Look at that silk screen. Woo!
I kind of like it because I can do 3 different presets of the
And it comes in
to let
focus nicely.
to let it go to different different angles and stuff. So yeah,
that's a huge improvement.
Good. I'm glad.
You have to go back and redo everything else you've shown now.
Oh, okay.
From the top.
There we go. Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to share with you guys today.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. I know you're kind of pressed for time because you have to leave here pretty quickly, but that was definitely worth it.
Oh, good.
And
I'm glad you guys
congratulations
enjoyed-
to Ron and Steve Rasmussen for guessing what it was very early on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't no prizes, so you just get bragging rights. So
Well, that fits right into our prize budget then.
Not even a Diet Dr. Pepper.
With water.
And Mark Overoser, if you could convince Brian to actually assemble it, you could make that one of your tech segment things. Just saying.
I would not ask him because there's enough CoCo 2s out there. You don't need to destroy this one.
If anything, you'd want to assemble like a reproduction CoCo 2 kit.
Yeah,
Yes.
like one of Pedro's.
Make one.
Like Pedro's. And I should probably
Or a dragon,
Right.
like Justin's or Karen's.
Yep. I
Oh,
did
and welcome,
post a link
Bo.
for
Bo Shaw. I just noticed you joined the call here. I imagine you have a drink in hand already.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday.
Hey, since we're in a hardware segment right now, I've gotten an email from Jamco this week. They're having a clearance sale. Items they have on clearance are going to be the 68 B09, 6551, and some RAM that we typically use. So now
Ooh.
maybe the
And that's
time to go
clearance, so
over
they'll be
it.
gone when they're done.
is that
Yeah.
the newer Western Digital or Western Design Center? 6501s, or
Didn't look that close on it.
Maybe.
I'm not sure if they're the A's or not.
It might be the old stock. Hard to say with the
So,
Jamco.
But yeah, you might want to check that out before they all vanish. I think there were some 40, what was it 41 464s were on the clearance also.
Oh, the ones for the CoCo 3 128K and the CoCo 2s with the 2-chip?
Yeah, I think so.
Stuff we can use. Nice.
Yeah, so I might want to check that out before they disappear.
Okay. Mark, since we kind of just did a hardware presentation thing, did you want to just finish updates and acquisitions right now
Sure.
for anybody who has any before we go to commercial?
Sure. Anybody else got some?
Sure, I've got a couple I can throw up here.
Careful with the word throw up.
Well, put
Oh,
up.
question from Mike Miller for you, Mark, here, while Rick's getting ready here. He's asking, is it 68 B09Es or just regular 68 B09s, which will not work in a CoCo?
I will have to go and double check. I just kind of glanced through it.
I will mention, though, that I know Frank at Retro Rewind, he's actually got a supply for new 6309. So, I mean, we're not out
Right.
CPUs. The rest of the chips, I don't know.
But this may be a good place to collect all of your CoCo era stuff because Jamco is, it's a hobbyist supplier. So when they're sold out, it's going to get really hard for someone else to have it. So if you're thinking catch the sale is probably a good thing.
If you're absolutely desperate, though, I hear Brian Weezer might have some parts.
So I'm bringing it up on my other screen here. We got.
But you'll have to distract him from his table, though.
And he has no idea where or when he got them.
We got 28C 256 EEPROMs, 2864s. I'll skip over the kind of non-CoCo stuff. So there's 6551s. Just says major brands, 28-pin dip. These, looking real close at it, doesn't seem to be the A variant. This one shows an AMI. 41 464 DRAM, which is the 64x4s. Z80 CPU. Yeah, 68 B09E.
Okay.
For $795 each.
There you go, Mike. Yeah, so somebody can post the link there, Mark, into the general chat. So anybody who's interested in trying to grab those, they can hit the site. And then in the meantime, we can go to Rick.
Jamco.com.
I also want to say, if anybody's looking for old hardware parts, I have a couple really good sites for trying to search stuff out, know some places that handle old stuff. So hit me up on Discord or whatever and just ask, and I'll see if I can do some searches or give you a link.
Okay, Mark, if you can highlight Rick, then Rick's got his little presentation to do.
I just also saw the 18 mega 328Us are on clearance. So
How much?
$695.
They're about double what they were a couple of years ago, but sure.
Yeah, it's the 28 pin dip.
Yep.
I'm sorry, who needs to be highlighted?
Rick Euland.
Who I can't because he's not showing video. Or can
I'm here. I have.
I'm seeing him fine.
Okay, there we go.
Wrong
Wrong person.
Yep.
There he is.
That's why we can't have nice things.
So anyway, I wasn't going to bring this up right away, but I started shooting my mouth off in Discord, so I might as well. Because we can't buy any Atmel chips. Worthy of note, I redrew the large MPI with service mount chips. And so I should be getting these next week, or the prototype next week. If it works, I'll make them. It's got a lot of problems. These holes are probably too small. Doesn't have a switch, but otherwise it's a large multi-pack. Not quite so large. If you'll notice, this is.
So
pretty
I
tiny.
can't tell from your diagram here, but would be good if you had a like a bank of jumpers so that you could strap one or more of the.
These are the card jumpers.
Okay.
So if you
That's for doing the RQ strap lines, or
yeah, IRQ straps. So you can either let it be switched or IRQ strap it. There's no physical switch on here. You can poke the slots, but this is just something to make multi-packs until we can get the Mega Minis and stuff back, which you can't buy the Atmel chips. I mean, yeah, you can buy them. You can buy 3 of them, but if you want to buy a board run, they aren't around yet. So this is just my short-term fix. Next thing is I've been working on the Org 90, and the new chips I had, I wish I had a better picture, are surface mount chips. They are this. Oh gosh. Anyway, it's a tiny little surface mount chip, and I had to
slide over a
bodge
little
it.
bit. There you go.
Had to bodge it into a 4-pin machine socket so I can actually continue work on the project, which is way too much effort for a very small game. But now I have managed to fit these tiny little chips. And then I just wanted to bring up Connect's CoCo keyboard compendium really quick, because I'm still working on reproducing every CoCo keyboard in the world. And
Keyboard spelled wrong.
no, it's spelled right. It's CoCo.
Connect's CoCo keyboard compendium. Doesn't it make perfect sense?
Too many C's, I think.
That's perfectly right. I
Australian
think.
humor. It didn't make it to Australia. Sorry, your joke fell flat over there.
I thought it was upside down.
Crikey.
So anyway, so here's the ones that we have. This is the common full travel keyboard that everyone's got, and I have a kit for that. I found there's 2 kinds of melties. They look very similar. There's a little bit of change in the bezel, a little extra reinforcing on the sides, and some of the logos are a little different. If you flip it over, one's steel on the bottom, made in Japan, and one of them is made by Amp. I don't know if this A also means Amp, but here are 2 different melty keyboards out there that look almost the same from the top.
And that hole in the middle of the board is supposed to be there.
Okay. And then, so here's the one of them that, let's see, which one's this? This is the one that I recently got from Ron. Melty keyboard with a metal bottom, and it uses the Mylar sheet and little individual rubber domes. Here's the one I got from Pedro. It looks very similar, but it has a circuit board kind of whatever,
Phenolic or something.
A metal sheet, something we don't know about. And so this is the one I'm still looking for parts for, but the spacing is the same. So I think I can use one board to cover both of these keyboards. That would be nice. And
So
then,
does that use screws to hold down, or has that got the melty?
no, these are melted, but
Okay.
luckily it's melted plastic, so alternate mounting systems can be devised.
Like drill a really, really small hole in each of the tops.
Or a bar across the bottom to just clamp it down or something, because we have these nice supports on both sides. So I can envision a solution here. But this one I don't know, because I don't know. I'm just going to make something up. Is what it amounts to. And then last, I guess, this one from AC came up with this one, which is a little bit of a different take. It's phenolic on the bottom, but that actually is a circuit board. This is kind of an open switch design where there's a metal clicky plate.
I had this in my D board, CoCo. I remember this one.
That clicks down on here. Now, this is the one that I'm hoping to make a new kit for, because there's no real way to fix this. The kind of gold we can get now is not the kind of gold they had then. So we're not going to be able to just make this board and slap a new one on the bottom. It'll wear out in a week. So that's kind of what we're going for. The main thing I wanted to bring up on this one is I like his little screw catcher here, because if you lose any screws, you just roll it around for a while and you'll find all your screws again. The little donut magnet here. Yeah, I drive that around and all life is good. But yeah, it does have the
donuts.
What I like about this thing is it has this metal plate has a springiness to it. So no matter how hard you smash the switch, no matter how hard you smash the key, you aren't going to smash the switch any harder than this spring will push. So this one's eligible for fixing. Now these other couple, I don't know. You know, we're planning on how springy is this rubber versus how hard is it going to push the key, and how variable is your key spacing going to be. So if anyone has any ideas or any further info on these things, I'm just asking. And that's about all I have going on this week, because I've broken everything else.
I would think on that one with the rubber domes that if the domes got the carbon button in them.
Well, the issue is the amount of force pushed on the switch below, because they just push on a Mylar. But the amount of force you can put is dependent on how stiff the rubber is. You can push the key down a certain amount, and however stiff that rubber pushes, when you push it down that amount, that's how hard you push the switch. Well, the key switches I'm buying, you can only push them 60 grams or you lose your in life cycles. And if you buy a stouter switch, it doesn't have as many life cycles in it. So, you know, I can buy a switch that you can't kill, but it only lasts 10,000 cycles, and that's not worth it for a keyboard. So, you know, it turned out to be really complicated. I know Mark knows how to do it, but he has more engineering than me and probably a lot better help too. So yeah, I'm a little, anyway, this is where we're at. I'm hoping to come up with a couple more keyboard kits and maybe one or two that we just.
You still need a Mylar F board chiclet keyboard one? Because I have a spare I was going to bring to you at the fest.
Yes, I do, because I don't know the exact spacing on that. And we're talking a millimeter this way and that. So.
Okay, I'll bring you that one. I've actually got it set aside already. So
I appreciate it, because yeah, two keyboards that look identical may not be, depending on offsets and lever action. And
well, look at those two melted ones that look identical from first glance.
Right, and they're way different. Anyway, that's where I'm at. But I wanted Nick to know, hey, I built this teeny little thing here.
All right, yeah.
And it took me half a day to do it, because what a pain.
And Nick, you haven't received the first prototype from Rick yet, have you?
Not yet, no.
Oh yeah, Australian mail. Did Bill ever get
being
my,
delivered by a kangaroo, I believe.
What was that, Rick?
Did Bill ever get my network card yet, or is that still...
I don't know, because I haven't talked to Bill in probably 2 weeks. So
okay, well, that may be part of it. We all got too many things to do right now. So
cool. Looks like you get a lot of hardware on the go there. That multi-pack has a stopgap with the IRQ tying, which is really nice for OS 9.
Well, yeah, and I just want something now. You know, I mean, when Atmel comes back, the Mega Minis and all that stuff will be available. But right now, the only way you could build one is to find parts by hand, build it by hand, carefully. You know, it's not something that's going to happen to sell 25 of them. if you want to make one, you can make one right now, but you aren't going to make a quantity. So this is my stopgap.
Cool.
The jumper roll strapping is nice too, because then you can like strap two of the cartridges and not the other two.
Right.
Yeah, because the one problem with strapping them all, like we did at work, I mean, at work we needed all the slots for IRQs, but if you have a bigger ROM pack cartridge, like a game, it would just sit there and auto trigger constantly.
Right.
So
Right.
it just would freeze the machine.
So the master plan here is you can either strap it and include it, or you can leave it out and it's switchable. So you could still have it both ways. You could have
Yeah, so you can have like 2 or 3 slots with IRQ devices, like, you know,
and still
no
stick
halt
a
floppy
game in the
controllers.
last
And,
slot.
yeah, yeah, and then you can have you know, Rad Warrior or Predator, you know, just for David Ladd. Anybody else got any project updates, acquisitions they want to talk about?
I did some surfing. I found something.
And
right there. What do you see?
It's too small. I can't tell.
Building?
Oh, Tandy Education Center.
A real education center.
Yay.
That's where all the other kits are stored right now. Yeah, gotcha.
Exactly. So that's all I had.
Or that's still
Yeah.
around.
Is that where they
This
send
is
you if you
current.
complain too much?
This is correct. It's actually a medical center.
Oh yeah, I was looking up stuff and kept running into them.
Also, Steve Rasmussen, Buck Owens in the chat mentions that the MCX 32SD, another one has been sold during the show, so they're down to 3 left. So if you want one, you better get it fast.
Is there a place you can go to?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Is there a place
Go ahead,
you can
John.
go to find out all the places that you can pre-order stuff that's going to be available at CoCo Fest?
Pre-order? No, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
like Aaron told me he's already reserved like 87 things that are going to be for sale over there.
That would be a cool idea because I never know what to bring.
Yep. No, I've been helping Aaron with that. I've just been contacting anything he wants. I've been contacting the suppliers since I know all of them anyway. And just asking.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he had an in. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So, like, hint, but if you need anything like that, just let me know and I'll forward it on. Or you can just ask on the show since a lot of the suppliers are here right now.
All right.
And
sounds good.
I think that is a good idea because, like you were saying, Rick, it's nice to know what inventory you should be bringing rather than trying to fill up a car or worse yet, a plane flight with a whole bunch of stuff that then you don't sell it.
Speculation.
Right.
And then it gets lost.
And then everyone wants one thing and you only brought 3 of them. So
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not a bad idea. We should set up something like that for every fest, actually.
Yeah,
is a
that'd
good
be a good
idea.
idea for the vendor page on Glenn's
People's
site,
wish
so.
list.
yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up, John.
No problem, guys.
So what did you want though? That's what I'm asking.
I'm thinking about redoing the basement down here. So if you'll indulge me, I have this mantle over here. And the problem is, what I'd like to do is I'd like to line this wall. I'd like to take the boxed arcade marquees that are currently on either side of the unused fireplace and put those on a shelf, elevated up, then take a bunch of these $34.95 mainstays Walmart tables and maybe cut the legs off the back end so I can actually like put them like, you know, get a little bit more purchase on this mantelpiece, like slide it back. So and anyway, I want to fill up this whole wall right here with retro computing setups. I've discovered that I like having one table per setup. You can see my Atari 1200 XL setup right there. I like the idea of having, you know, a separate lamp for each system. Just kind of make it a little bit more homey and less sort of like here's a bunch of computers laid out. So anyway, this is a long way to go to get to this. I may be interested in buying some sort of CoCo RGB CRT to complete my CoCo setup.
So you can be period correct type thing with an actual.
Period correct type thing, right?
Okay. Well, if any of the vendors there or anybody listening that's going to be at the fest has a CM8 or a Magnavox 8515 or something like that they'd want to sell to Boat, get in contact with them. Or if you don't have a direct way to contact me and I'll pass it on.
And if you want a CM8 with a door, it's going to cost you a lot more than one without.
Yeah, I don't care about a door. None of my 1702s have doors. I'm doorless.
I imagine with a lot of people upgrading to like switcheroos and stuff now, and because they want to get it on their big screen HDMI TVs, there might be a few available. So
I've gotten a CM8 and an audio, or not audio box, that other one.
Magnavox, Sony.
Magnavox, yes, yeah.
Now, there's a Magnavox that works well. Commodore 1084 will work well with the CoCo 3. There's a few out there.
Yeah. So if anybody has one for both, there, get in contact with him or get in contact with me, and I'll pass it out to him. But we'll see if we can arrange a deal.
Let's make a deal.
Anybody else have any updates or acquisitions they want to talk about before we go to a commercial break?
Oh, I guess I have one thing I'll just show here real quick, just in case. I showed it to you guys beforehand with show, but I just want to let you know that it has officially been done. We are now officially the LLC. So
oh wow!
This actually has all the paperwork for the new company. So just thought I'd share that with everybody. So it's a done deal.
Cool. What that means for those who aren't in the know, basically, the CoCo Nation Show is actually a legal entity, an LLC. So it's run by a board.
So yep, and that will prevent.
Boy,
are
we bored?
That'll prevent from what happened to us last year. So
we'll be bought out by Disney anytime now.
Yep,
that's
right. It'd have to be a leveraged buyout.
Cool. Well, thanks for the update on that.
Yeah,
you already mentioned there's only 6 tables left at
8 tables left.
8 tables left.
They're going as fast as Ed Schneider's items.
Yeah, they are definitely going fast. So, and also if you are still wanting to do a presentation, let me know. We still have a couple slots available too. So,
dang it, Zoom! Why do you keep doing this to me? All right, let's I guess go to the first commercial break.
Sounds good.
The CoCo Nation Show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCo Nation Show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCo Nation.
The CoCo Nation Show would like to thank the following patrons: Alex Gayer, Brendan Donahue, Brian Weasler, Dinty's Hideaway, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Mike Rayburn, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retrotech Time, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Bateson, Terry Steege, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., Tony C., William A. Thing. Thank you so much, patrons.
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
Tesla Geek says, "Hi everyone, I'm Alex G. My first computer was a CoCo 3. I was a child and fairly sheltered about the CoCo, so I wasn't fully aware of its capabilities, but I loved it nevertheless and have many fond memories. I'm hoping to grow in my understanding and appreciation of it, as well as hopefully spark an interest in my daughter about computing." The previous bios were edited for time. Thanks to Boys in Tech, Glenside Computer Club, Nightbeard, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Tandy Color Computer 3, and the CoCo Nation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
Because cocoing is better together.
Welcome everybody to the CoCo Nation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This past 2 weeks, we've played Buzzworm. We had a total of 13 players. So let's see how they did. We had Worm Food with 169. Mikey N6IL, 250. David Ladd, 4740. Rich N, 7225. Coconut Bob, 19680. Jim Rye, 23345. Sloopy Malibu, 25115. Flutterball, 29615. L. Curtis Boyle, 37620. Mr. Dave, 6309, 39570. Canadian Retro Things, 50,410. Share Squid's Son, 80,165. And the number one score this week was Buck Owens with 112,650. Thanks everybody that played, and we will see you again next week.
The CoCo Nation salutes Buck Owens.
That was well timed.
Wow.
Somebody's allergic to the game on Challenger.
Come on, Buzzworm wasn't that bad.
Left my mic on. Sorry, folks.
Okay, as we said, we played Buzzworm this week, and I couldn't find any high scores listed in Rainbow, so I don't know how well Buck did compared to the people of yesteryear, but I did find one review of it right here. And basically just tells about the game, and then the author complained that there's no pause in Buzzworm and thinks that should be added, and that Buzzworm did not measure up to other Novasoft games. It doesn't have the exciting pizzazz of the other games Novasoft has released, and gave it a 2-star rating, which is slightly below average. So was not overly impressed with this game.
I'm just curious, who was the reviewer for that? Because Rainbow was infamously known for always giving positive reviews because they wanted advertisers.
Patrick Downard, which
I don't know if that's any relation to Dan Downard, one of the columnists.
Well, the name is he's a Downard.
He's down on it and he's a nerd. Is that what you're saying?
Anyway, yeah, so interesting that it's one of the more negative reviews that I've seen in Rainbow before, but yeah, I personally didn't think it was that bad of a game.
No, I didn't either. I mean, it's pretty well Nibbler from the arcade.
I did see that a lot of people, or a few people anyways, were posting that they especially with the keyboard, it was almost uncontrollable. I don't know.
Now, is that emulators versus real hardware? Because I did not have that kind of problem.
Yeah, I didn't have that problem at all. So I'm wondering if, it was their emulators weren't running through the keyboard properly. But definitely playing it keyboard versus joystick. Joystick was much better.
Yeah, because I remember on the live challenge I was watching you guys, and I think it's Sloopy. Was it you that was having issues? You had to switch emulators for one of the games because of keyboard controls.
Yeah. That was the Tetra, though. But I was having control issues in Nibbler or on Buzzworm.
And which emulator were you using for that at the time?
I was having control issues in both of them.
Oh, and you tried what, VCC and XOR, I think?
Yeah. I couldn't play Tetra at all in XOR, and VCC I was still having issues with it. As for Buzzworm, it's not sure what the deal with it is, because last week I didn't have any problems with it, and this week I was having issues with it left and right. So,
did you upgrade XOR 1.3? I'm just wondering if there's a bug report for Kieran we might have to send him, or
yeah, I need to send him a message and let him know what I saw.
Yeah, I think he's in chat, so he probably already knows now. But
hey, Kieran, yeah, there was an issue. I'll get with you later for the details.
Anyway, so yeah, I didn't have the problems that other people were having, so I didn't.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's the type of game I like because you can certainly shut your brain off while playing it. So it's a good pass the time game. Once you figure out kind of patterns to use to go through the levels, it gets a little bit easier because it just it goes 4 levels, then there's a bonus level, then repeats.
Yeah, and there's multiple different bonus levels too.
Yeah, there's 3 different bonus levels. So there's one where your snake just grows through the whole thing. His tail stays in the starting spot, and he just grows, and you have to figure out how many dots you can eat before you run back into yourself. There's one where all the dots are invisible, and there's one where it goes really fast. So that's a nice nice thing to have different bonus stages to make it to.
Yeah, it's a close copy. Like even the maze setups on your different levels is pretty well the same as the arcade from what I remember. It wasn't a hugely popular arcade game, but
yeah, I don't think I ever saw it in the arcade. So, or if I did, I passed it by.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the arcade either.
Yeah, we had it here at Crazy Leo's arcade, I think it was called. Definitely in the 80s.
Yep. Well, yeah, so tips and tricks of the game, as I said, just kind of memorize patterns, which was a something you did in a lot of games back then.
Yeah, because there's nothing chasing you. So once you kind of figure out the maze and what order you go through so you don't bite yourself as you grow longer, you can pretty well ace them as long as you're not like missing the turns.
And if you're using the joystick, just I did see that Buck Owens, I think it was, put in the comments that using a 4-way joystick works a lot better than one of the multi-way joysticks, the 8-way joysticks.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Because you only can go in the 4 different directions, so it's a little easier to get it in the proper direction to make the snake do what you want it to. So
yeah, and for boat, I know you've complained that the cheap games for the CoCo and stuff, and I think even with the Ataris and stuff, because I mean generally cheap games in the UK, when you guys have talked about it on your shows, have been like way cheap, like $5. And this one was actually for sale for like 15, I think, when the review said
$14.95 and $16.95 for the disc.
Yeah, so, I mean, as a gamer, I would just be in perpetual anger with these prices. I mean, especially when the alternative was you just pirate it. I mean, one way to tackle piracy is the iTunes thing. You make the game so cheap that it becomes an impulse buy. And when you're marketing games on cassette or floppy disk, these are not valuable mediums. But I guess maybe the people that were making these games either weren't business majors or sold enough that they were happy with, if you can get 3 or 4 guys to pay $15, that's, you'd have to sell twice as many to make that amount if you sold them for half or whatever. So
yeah, because I think the North American market, I mean, that was cheap. 15,
yeah,
16
bucks. The budget label, the budget thing didn't exist here like it did in England. I mean, in England, you had Spectrum games selling for $2.99, $1.99, and that's crazy cheap.
That's CoCo Fest blowout prices when the company's going out of business.
And those games in many cases were quality game. I mean, quality in the same way that this is a quality game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I think Tom Mix, I mean, the owner of Novasoft, I think most of their games at the time were at least $24.95, if not $29 or $34, depending on the title. And usually they went really expensive when it was first released, one of their top tier games, and then a half a year later they might drop it $5, but it would stay.
A big thing too is that I think in the United States, a lot of home computer software was released out of comparatively small publishing houses. Oftentimes, the publishing house and the developing house was the same.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Developer, yeah.
And so what would happen in the UK is games would have a release on a major publisher, say like, Ocean or something like that. And then they would be re-released through budget publishers like Imagine, who would go through and they would scoop up all of these aging titles and they would re-release them, sometimes in bundles or sometimes just on their own. And you would get sort of what we would call the greatest hits version if you use like modern console parlance.
Yeah, the closest equivalent we had to that here in the CoCo market specifically is that T&D Software had their little tape magazine, disc magazine that they sold for 10 years. And they actually bought the rights to a couple of the companies, including Tom Mix, Novasoft, both of them actually. So they would give their monthly magazine where they have some basic programs and utilities and everything else. But one Tom Mix game was thrown in. And those tapes were like, $4.95 or something like that. Or you could buy a subscription for a year for like $60 or something.
Yeah, that's a pretty close analog, I would think.
But I mean, the problem in the States is the market is so big that you can quickly exceed your capacity to produce. So there's no real reason to go cheap, to go large. You can sell more than you can make at full price. I think
That's interesting. Do you think, Patrick, that they were that was a situation that these publishers were running into?
Maybe. I mean, as kind of a hardware guy, I definitely did. So I priced to keep sales down.
I really think that hardware is definitely a thing that you run into production issues. Surely there were, and I don't know. I mean, does anybody know where you would go to get your games duplicate? I mean, were there services where you could send a disc off, duplication services, or was this literally Tom Mix in his basement making copies of discs?
Right. I mean,
some of the bigger companies did buy tape duplicators. Rainbow had one for making the Rainbow on tape, but they had would have made like a dozen at a time.
But I know a lot of the things I bought appeared to have been made well, but made locally, made by three guys in the basement. I don't know, but
I think it depended on the scale of the company, like an Adventure International or Tandy or Rainbow or somebody, I think did have tape duplicators, high speed ones. So you could do masses of tapes. But I think, a lot of the more kitchen table ones, I think probably just, had a stereo ghetto blaster or a dual cassette ghetto blaster and just dub the tapes away. Who knows?
Yeah. Do well. Ooh. I don't know. Just wondering.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that too, because I honestly don't know. I just know how the big guys did it, because they actually had pictures, and Rainbow actually on one of their anniversary issues actually showed their tape duplication system running. I think 80 Micro did too at one time, and they're like these big tall things with dozens of cassettes around.
There's that weird disconnect where it's cheaper to make more than you need and throw away the extra is kind of the dividing line.
Right.
For a long time, you barely make what you need, and however it costs to make barely what you need is what you live. And then you go to that, well, I make 10 million and I throw
economy of scale.
And that's, and that's where the whole, in the record industry, you have the cutouts, that's what the cutouts were basically the ones that they threw away, and they would buy them, but, retailers would buy them by the pallet and sell them for $1 or $2 a piece on cutout.
Franklin Harris of Retro Rewind in the chat says we have 5 1/4 and 3.5 inch disc duplicators. So Franklin Harris of Retro Rewind in the chat says we have 5 1/4 and 3.5 inch. Getting an echo somewhere.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know where to go from there.
Were we doing games? Was that it? Games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're talking about games, right? So, does anybody else have tips or tricks for Buzzworm?
I guess play it on real hardware, because some people were definitely more than one was having problems with running it on emulators. I think it was a variety of emulators, from the sounds of it.
Which, that's kind of interesting. And also, was it Mr. Dave's upgraded copy, or was it?
That's a good question too.
Copy?
Yeah, I played the original because I didn't like Mr. Dave's color set. No offense, Mr. Dave.
Yeah, me too. I did that because I'm too lazy to download the file and put it on my SDC, and because it's
I just saw screenshots and went, no, I like the original black, white, red, blue better than the yellow, green.
As a tip, get into the tight spaces first while you're small.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good tip.
And
that's what she said. Sorry.
Damn, missed that one.
Anybody else with any tips, tricks?
Just
cheats?
Like you said, memorize the maze and what is the best path, because we got 4 repeating mazes, and then you've got the bonus round stuff. So
and don't eat
not
your
too
young.
much to memorize. Yeah, however, I screwed up the first time.
The 4th maze, actually, you can't memorize a pattern really, because it has randomly appearing walls.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
yeah, don't eat the egg, because I did that, because normally when you get a bonus shape showing up, you have to go get it, right? No, read the directions in this case, because actually you have to survive getting all the other pieces without eating the egg to get your free man.
So you got to wonder how many people back in the day didn't read the instructions and just kept eating the egg every time, thinking it was a bonus 1,000 points.
Yeah, I think quite a few didn't read the instructions because they had, extra copies.
Exactly.
Made with some tape duplicator.
Surplus.
An old mimeograph machine making duplicates of the instructions.
Yeah, the old
I believe those are
alcohol
called
smelling
distributed backups.
Yeah. Off-site backups. That's what I
Off-site
call them.
backups, yeah.
No, it's a fun little game. If you ever played the arcade game, which, as I mentioned before, is a fairly rare one. I've only seen it at one arcade here.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's got a little bit of Pac-Man and a little bit of Snake, and it came out in 80. I think the arcade one was in 82 or 83 or something like that. So,
And
fairly
it's
early
certainly
on.
a game that has been duplicated in different forms many, many, many times. So,
It's one of those games I've seen in basic a lot.
yeah, it's always a game that people try to make as an early basic game for them to learn programming and stuff. So,
Yeah, it's got some cutesy bits like when you finish solving it, your rattlesnake tail there will just go shaking like crazy as you're getting your bonus points from the timer. So, yeah, some little niceties in there.
so actually, for a fairly budget game, I thought it was quite well done personally.
Yeah,
would've
I
given
don't
it a
agree with
lot
the
more
Rainbow
than 2
Reviewer on that
stars.
one. It
I
sounds like
would've
he's a
given it-
utility writer or something.
I would have given it 4 stars, maybe 3.5 if I'm on a bad day where I'm having trouble playing.
Yeah, I would say 3.5 myself personally. 3 if it was a full price title, because it's not up at
Yeah.
a Sailor Man grade level or anything. But
Well, that's I would give it 3.5, go up to 4 because it was a budget game and quite well done comparatively to a game you'd pay $40 for. It's not that different than many games that I probably paid $40 for.
yeah, and just as a side to John, something I was going to mention to you, but since you're on the show, I can actually just tell you. I know on the Amiga you have an option. One of your categories is public domain games, which basically stuff released for freeware.
Mhm.
And because Brian O'Neill and Chris, when they're on next week, a couple of his games were freeware, and there's quite a few others going all the way back to the CompuServe days of CoCo 1 and 2. That's a category you guys should introduce on the CoCo show, I think.
We would, but to be honest with you, there's so little interest on voting on like the well-known games that adding public domain, I'm afraid, would make it even less, conducive for people to vote on. So we include public domain games. We've done Pac Dude before, I'm pretty sure. But we just don't want to introduce them as a separate. I'd like to get rid of the public domain category in Amigos. We only don't because so many people are fanatical about public domain on the Amiga side. I just don't see that fanaticism dripping over to the CoCo. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Is anybody here on the panel just nuts about public domain software and would rather play that than commercially released games?
It depends on the game. We had some pretty good ones. So there's not a ton of them. I mean, this would probably be a limited time category, but there was a few pretty decent ones, which at the time I was surprised because they could have sold them for $25 and probably sold thousands. But yeah, it would be a fairly limited one. But it's kind of curious because like who's willing to put all the effort into making a really good game and then just saying it's free, here, have it. Like Roger Taylor, Brian O'Neill, who's the guy who did Snakebite? Can't remember the name. But there's a bunch like OSign had a ton of freeware games, but even the regular ones, there was some pretty good machine language games. And I just, it wasn't anything I ever would have thought of doing was saying, I'm going to put in a month or 2 months of 5 days a week effort programming a machine language game and then just giving it away back then. I mean, nowadays, because it's a hobby, yeah, sure. But
it really
in the
has to
80s
be a
when you
labor
could have
of
sold
love.
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be asking Brian about that because I mean, his first 2 games, Tetra and Pac Dude, the original Pac Dude, he did give away for free. It was just an odd download from CompuServe or Delphi, whatever, or BBS, and he was totally fine with that. In
Yeah.
fact, he had to be convinced from the sounds of it when we had our pre-interview there, Ken, that he had to be convinced to sell Pac Dude Monster Maze, which actually is one of the top tier CoCo 3 games. So
I think that a lot, at least in the Amiga world, sometimes public domain games were sort of made on spec. They were made for free to show off, what could be done on a larger scale to a publisher, almost like a demo. Here's a little 1 or 2 level thing. And
Kind of like the
sometimes-
Castle Wolfenstein thing. You can download the first episode free on the
Right.
PC, but if you want the full thing, you got to pay for it.
Right. And then you get into like what is public domain versus what is shareware and all that stuff. You know,
My favorite was Beerware.
beerware.
We had a few
yeah.
Coca publishers that did that. You know, you send me a 12-pack of some random beer from whatever country you're from, and I just want to try it. So send me one of those.
Mhm.
Don't need money. Anyway, sorry, I stole you again there, Ken.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So how about Sloopy? Are you ready to talk about the Thursday night game on show? No? Well, I'm going to start showing a video and you can just start talking, or we'll just stare at the video blankly.
My mute's off, so now I'm ready.
Okay. So here's some footage from Thursday night.
Yes, we had a good showing. We had 5 people playing at most. And yeah, I did have problems with the game starting. Yeah, Tetra and Nibbler. But eventually did get it started, and we did pretty good. We also had TGAB Chris join us, which thanks.
Yeah, first time he's been on the Game On Live.
Yeah, and he pulled a Buck Owens, kicked everyone's butt in one game. As a matter of fact, I think he scored more in one game than everyone else combined.
So Buck Owens has some competition now.
Yes. Also, we had a special surprise that come on. We had Brian O'Neill, who made Tetra, and he showed us a special surprise, which the CoCo Nation Show will be showing next week. So I'll let you either watch the Game On Challenge live to see it, or you have to wait until next week to hear about it. We are hoping to get more people to come out and play, so come join us. It's not hard. You don't need any special hardware. You can even use an emulator. Or if you want, you can use real hardware like Ken does.
Yep, it's just basically if you join the CoCo Discord, there's a special channel for these challenges when they go on, and you just share your screen or capture software or whatever. And there's no fees or anything. Just come and join.
And I might add, you don't even actually have to download an emulator. You can just go to the Color Computer Archive and hit the Play Now button, and then stream that screen.
Yes,
So
what he said.
It's simple, very simple.
Yes. It's really easy to do. If you have problems setting it up, we can help you right there on the spot. Yeah, was there any questions about the show?
None for me. Obviously, I'm quite familiar. I just wasn't able to make it except in the chat there. But just to repeat what you guys have said many times before, I mean, we have this sliding window now, so we have 2 games that are active every week. It was Buzzworm and Tetra in this case here. Tetra will be part of next week, plus whatever Ken's going to surprise us with. And but you don't have to play those 2. Like you're loading up or trying to load up Pack Dude Monster Maze here, another Brian O'Neill game in this case. But
you also had problems with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an emulator breakdown there, I think.
Yeah, Rob. Yeah, I had an issue myself where every time I'd hit the key in Tetra, it would go 2 instead of 1. It would be like the bounce delay was not set correctly. And Kieran, yes, it is more. And you could see right there where I actually hit the PAL CoCo 3 instead of the regular CoCo 3. This is where I was trying to get it to run.
And Ken, I have a question now. That's yours in the upper left corner we're watching right now, right?
Yeah, the little one.
Yeah, where did you get the green background from?
I accidentally bumped the composite switch on my switcheroo. I was playing in RGB and I accidentally flipped it over to composite.
Okay,
So,
I was wondering because I hadn't seen that before. Was there some bonus level I'm unaware of?
that's what because it's like, oh wow, that turning the background green like that makes it kind of hard to see. Like, oh, I don't like what he did there. Then I was playing through it, and then I figured out, oh wait, that was my screw up.
I thought maybe you were feeling ill and you were, you doing that thing we covered a few weeks ago where the color green actually helps you heal.
There we go.
So, Ron, you should be staying in front of your CoCo with the green screen on for the next while here while you're recovering. Oh, there, you got it working. Did you switch emulators there to do that, Slippy?
No, I think I'm still in whatchamacallit at this point. Or no, maybe not. Sorry, it's a little blurry for me, so I can't really tell. Back up, you can see the menus, and then you'll be able to tell. Not that far, just like a few seconds.
Sorry, I'm not that.
Yeah. Are you running this on YouTube?
Yeah.
The left and right buttons go forward and back 5 seconds, and the J and L do 10 seconds.
Yeah. See, I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I learned that when I used to do the timestamps.
Well, anyway, you got it working, but you had trouble going in certain directions, didn't you?
On this, yes. I couldn't go left or down left, or no, up and left. Yeah, that's right. This is still XROR. You see right there, I couldn't turn left right there. Like up and to the left, it wouldn't let me do it.
You have to use a jug handle if you want to make a left turn.
This is
But
New
I'm not
Jersey.
in New Jersey anymore.
Yeah, well, I know I've seen in the chat here that Rob Inman and Kieran have been going back and forth because Rob was mentioning, yeah, he played Tetra and it worked fine on real CoCo, and he was having some issues with the keyboard there too. So it looks like Kieran's going to take a look at it to compare to see what's different on the emulator, because it definitely seems to be emulator related.
Yeah. Yeah, because the thing is that I had no problems before because we've actually played Monster Maze.
Yeah, it was a game on challenge previously.
Yeah, and I've always used XROR.
So something in the recent 1.3, I think, is the current release. Must have changed.
Of XROR, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I did my high score, when I got up to what was it, level 5, I think I did. I was using XROR.
So you're saying that Kieran pulled a Nick Morentes and trying to fix something, broke other stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Needs to be.
The CoCo Nation, where we slam our developers for releasing bugs. Yeah.
Oh no, you fix one bug, you make 3 more. That's the rule.
And I used the same exact disk image that I did before. So it's not like I used a newer version of Monster Maze or anything. Same as before.
I will mention actually, Brian, on the during the live show here, actually uploaded new versions. I guess like the Pack Dude that I've got on my site, and I think on the archive is 1.0, the original Pack Dude, and he's actually got a 1.3, and it mentions that there's a few bug fixes and stuff in there, but he doesn't remember what all changed. And he's got a new version of Pack Dude Monster Maze. We have 2.0A here. He's got a 2.1A. So he's given both those files. I'll be making the disk images up hopefully this weekend because it looks like work's finally going to die down for the weekend. And I'll get those up in the archive and then up on my site as well. So I'm not sure exactly what's changed, but there will be some revisions to those, and we'll have them ready for by the time Brian and Chris are on the show next week.
Okay.
Excellent.
Hopefully this week we will be able to get more people playing and get higher scores.
Yes.
So Kieran, you have until Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern U.S. time to get XROR fixed.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah,
All
actually,
right,
Karen
well-
is saying, "Oh yes, I've definitely had problems before with Pack Dude under X-Word." So, Karen's a
So-
problem he's hit before.
Back to you, Ken.
Okay, well, yeah. So hopefully, see you everybody on Thursday night. Let's get lots of people in here. We want to try and break the system by having so many people wanting to play the game. So
Yeah, and that's not hard to do because it only takes more than 9 people. 10 between 10 and 12 is where the system breaks down, and we want to break it. So
yeah,
come join us.
so that's our goal this week. Join us to break the system. Let's crash Discord.
Well, no, let's crash the game on Challenge Live.
Well, it would
yeah,
it would crash the Discord channel, wouldn't it?
Discord crashes itself on my system.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so that was last week's, and let's take a look at what is happening in this upcoming week. Well, as we've already mentioned, we are going to continue playing Tetra for one more week. So this is the game that will be ending on Friday night. And our new game that we'll be playing for the next 2 weeks is this one right here.
Oh, that's Sheldon's, right?
Sheldon McDonald's. Yep.
Yep.
Treasure
So,
Island Defense, which he just recently released without requiring sound cards, and it's a free download now, I think.
So that's this game. Yeah, here's the title screen, Treasure Island Defense. Now, I'm not sure if this is up on the archive yet, but I did get permission from Sheldon, so I will actually post the disc image in the Discord channel, and I'll pin it, so you can just download it straight from there, because we have permission from the author to do that. And he also has released it out on Facebook, if you can find the link for that.
Is there a manual and stuff for it too, for those who have not seen the game before?
I don't think so. Basically,
I
shoot
haven't played
everything.
it, so I don't even know what exactly you're doing here.
So you're the little gun turret on the top. If anybody remembers the old Apple II game Blitzkrieg,
Yep.
it's much like that. So you've got you're the little gun turret, and you've got a little pile of I don't know, is my cursor showing up on screen?
Yep.
Okay, so there's a little pile of gold right here. So your whole island moves over to about here. And then you've got things come across the water to you, and you have to shoot them. And then stuff will fly over top and drop paratroopers down to try to steal your gold. Once you lose all your gold, you're dead. And there's a little sun that goes across the top of the screen here to show each stage. So it's basically surviving days. And yeah, that's how you play it. Just
And
shoot everything.
it's joystick controlled or keyboard controlled?
Joystick controlled.
Okay.
I'm not
And this looks like a
sure if
CoCo
there's a
3
keyboard.
game. Is there, like, I know he had a CoCo VJ version at one point. Is that included?
Yeah,
in here?
it does work on CoCo 2, but on certain things, I should have looked this up. It actually says right at the beginning of the game, it's CoCo 3, or I think CoCo 2 with the VGA or whatever.
Yeah, CoCo VGA, I believe.
So
Is this a newer game or
if
an
you want to
older
run this in
So
emulator, you have to
basically-
run CoCo 3.
yeah, basically run it CoCo 3 if you is the best way to run it.
So what were you saying, Jim?
Is this a newer game or an older one?
It's
New.
fairly new. It's probably about 6 months
About a
old or something like that.
Yeah, he released it on cartridge a while back for sale.
Yeah, with actual sound hardware, so it actually had some music and stuff in the background. But this is
Oh,
the
sweet.
generalized version for old machines.
So it's on the Color Computer Archive as a CoCo 3 CoCo PSG cartridge, and it's dated basically September 11th, 21. So yeah, it's a fairly new game.
Okay, well, I'll put the disk image file that he released on the archive, so you can just download that. And
So we should try to get him on the show to talk about
Discord.
this, eh?
Yeah,
Yes, we
if
should.
if he'd like to, in 2 weeks. I was actually going to say, I did send him a message that he could join the show to talk about it when we do it. So,
okay, cool.
I sent it to him on Facebook. I could get a hold of him here on Discord too, because he's on Discord, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would get a faster response on Facebook.
If he's listening right now, I'll just get a hold of me or Curtis. And...
No, this is all year. I'm not the Game On guy.
Okay. Okay. Well,
and we've interviewed him before, I think, on the cartridge version, so I don't need to interview him per se. It would just
we're not talking about an interview. Just get a hold of you to get how to get onto the show and stuff.
Oh, he's been on before, so
not in the new show, not the new.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Good point.
Yeah. All right. So.
And David Ladd just woke up. He's in the chat.
Oh, morning, David. Ooh. Did you have a good nap?
All right, so the 2 games for next week are Tetra for 1 more week, and then we got 2 weeks of Treasure Island Defense.
Yes.
Now, is there scoring in Treasure Island Defense? Like, I haven't played it.
Yes, there is scoring.
Okay.
Cool. As I said, it brings back fond memories of playing Blitzkrieg on the old Apple II for hours.
Yeah, that was the very first high-res game on the Apple II I ever saw. Everything up to then was like Lemonade Stand and low-res graphics, so that was a mind-boggler for me. 1979, I think I saw it.
I just remember absolutely loving that game. So
it was a good game for the Apple II.
Yeah, especially for that early on.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's all I have to say about the Game On Challenge. So I don't know. Do we want to break or do we want to go straight into the Game On news?
Mr. Mark B, what do you want to do?
Short break.
Make it so. Push the button, Frank.
Hi, I'm Terry Steggy from Retro Tech Time and the Tandy Shack, and you're watching the CoCo Nation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
From the makers of the Switcheroo. Wallaby Cable, Color Computer 3 Dual RGB Cable. Get yours today at cocoman.biz.
In 1988, a scandal rocked the color computer community.
Have you ever been a member of the Australian OS9 users group? Answer the question, Mr. Morentis. Crikey!
When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC-10, and all of their hardware cousins. No matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world, to your nation. The CoCo Nation News with L. Curtis Boyle.
I'm never going to get used to that.
All right, it's all yours, Curtis.
Hey, you guys seeing that green screen? You guys are feeling the healing vibes already?
It looks familiar.
Well, I fooled you because this is an MC10.
Ah.
So Jim Gary, we talked about his Joypad, which is basically a 3-button thing that kind of simulates a gamepad. And he's been actually converting some games over to running on it that he's done previously before for the regular keyboard controls. And he did a 5-pack here in this particular one, and he's actually using the basic compiler by Greg Dion at the same time. So the games are getting a bit of a speed up from the original basic versions, plus they're working with the keypad. And he's redesigned the game so that you can like start the next game just with the keypad. You don't have to like switch back to the keyboard. So he's making it more friendly. So this pack here has got 5 different games. I'll just mute the sound here. Talk about it. One of them is actually used in one of the commercials that he has, which is the snowboarding one. And then he's also got Deep Scan, Cave Raid, Mount Fuji, and Brick Wall. So you can see here the compiler speed's running a little bit faster, and you're kind of snowboarding between trees. And he's actually using the SG6 mode, I believe, here, which is why you're getting those vertical stripes. But it kind of works for trees, so.
So does the trees jump out at you like they do in real life?
Depending on your perspective, sure. So there's that one. And the next one is Brick Wall. Which is basically your bust out with every color that MC10 can produce. And then this one's kind of a cool one. This is the Cave Raid, which is kind of like almost a scramble Sea Dragon style thing. But with the compiled version, it's actually running at a much better clip than the original did. So, and those slight pauses you see is when it's doing sound, but it's definitely got some of the tight turns like the Sea Dragon game with the CoCo, where you have to do it just about perfectly. And there's Deep Scan, which is kind of a what's the name of it? Seawolf, I think, is the original arcade game this is roughly based on, which is a 1970s era arcade game. Where you got a bunch of subs and stuff firing back at you, and you're firing down at them, moving at different speeds. Another one that really got a nice speed boost from the compile. And Mount Fuji is one I'd not seen before. I don't remember this one. And the main game here seems to be just ASCII character based, though it does have a little animation of the volcano exploding. Sorry, there's a whole bunch of games there. If you want to try them, and if you want to contact the Jim, I think he's got these available for download on his site, though I haven't had a chance to check it. And also he can give you some details and try to order the gamepad from the person that actually created it, because he actually got it as a complimentary one to test with, and now he's converting software over to it. So hopefully this will be on sale soon. And basically it should just plug in and let you play some games. Basically it's a 3-button keypad, so you basically get a fire button and a left and right. So it won't work for games where you're moving in all 4 directions that easily. But there's quite a few games like the Scramble, you're just moving up and down style thing. And breakout, bust out type stuff, you're moving left and right. So it works really good for some games, but it definitely looks like it'll be a bit easier than trying to hit the little keys on the MC10 keyboard. And then the next one he converted a little bit later in the week is Space Invaders, also now recompiled. So I'll play a little bit of that. This reminds me a little bit of, Nick, you did a 4K challenge way back. I think that never, I don't think the contest actually happened, but.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would add here is maybe animate the aliens a bit, which I think you did in yours. But not a bad little Space Invaders game.
My one's still available for download.
Yeah, it's on your
my-
site, right?
My archive site, yeah.
Yeah. Next up, Paul Shoemaker uploaded a video to the Facebook CoCo group showing further progress on his role-playing game that he's working on, which you can see is Caves 2. And it's really nicely presented. I'm really liking what this looks like.
Yeah, I love the art. It looks very fast.
Yeah, he's writing assembly language, so
That
I'm just
maze
waiting.
has the same layout as Wizardry 1, just about.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Calibeth Wizardry 1 mixed together almost. And there's what your status is, and then this. I'm still waiting to see how this mechanic specifically works. It's like attack and damage, I think, is what he's doing. But you have to like kind of time the balls, almost like you're trying to play golf game type thing, where you do the swing and then the click back, and that gives you your fading stuff. So I'm kind of curious to see how exactly that's going to work. But it looks really nice, and it's running quick. I'm really looking forward to it, actually, because that other one that he did a couple years ago, he had to pull because of some artwork assets. He got nailed with a copyright strike, and this time it's all clean rooms, so it's shouldn't have any of these issues. And I really wanted to play that one back in the day too. Next up, I don't know, is Boat still on the call, or did he go grab another drink somewhere? I think he's gone. I was going to have him talk about this, but basically this is the YouTube release of their covering of Paul Thayer's CoCo, which I think we played a little clip of it last time.
Show me, show you, CoCo. It's the CoCo Show, episode 40.
So anyway, one thing I wanted to play a little clip of here a little bit later on is that I've actually interviewed Paul Thayer during the show.
I mean, I have a low threshold for. I live a pretty stress-free life, as Bo will tell you, and so I don't. This game's the same reason I quit playing chess. I'm not good at thinking moves ahead, I get aggravated. And man, this game was driving me nuts. Now I will say it was very gratifying. It's extremely gratifying when you can get past the level, but man, the process of getting there was. It was driving me nuts, man.
So
hey,
I'm actually curious to know. You got up to like level 7. You said, Boat. Where did you get to?
You can see exactly where I could not get past on this playthrough. So yeah,
yeah.
I got to. I think it's either level 7 or level 8. But there's something that you've got to do that I could not figure out how to. It's the one.
Hey, I'll let you watch the the whole thing there with the interview with Paul. The interview with Paul takes about the second half of the show. So, and he doesn't only talk about CoCo and it based on Picobon, etc. But he actually starts talking about developing. He talks about some projects that he's currently working on. So if you want a bit of a sneak preview on some certain things, so it's a cool episode. It's probably, I think, the first actual live interview of a developer they've had on the CoCo Show since they started it. I know Nick's been in the chat room quite a few times, but he's been too chicken. I mean, he's just never been on to actually talk about it. So, Nick, next time you release a new game here, we're gonna have to get you to guest on there too, I think.
All right. Does that mean I have to make another game?
Yeah. Make one in OS9 just to make it special. Hey, go catch that on YouTube. If you want to catch it earlier, of course, you can do it on Twitch, which is where they live record. I think it's the 3rd or 4th Friday of every month is when they record the show. And then it's usually released on YouTube within a week. This one here, Jim Gary then issued a update to Border, the game we showed earlier, with Smooth Scroll. And I don't remember exactly what changed there, but let's take a quick look. Does that look any smoother to you guys?
Yeah. Looks like it's a little bit faster and not that weird banding at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because normally you get that print where it clears the line green and then it flashes, but it looks like that's fixed.
And it's not jumping line by line. It's better.
Oh, yeah, you're right, too. It looks like it's more going by half
It's
line. Like
definitely faster.
Yeah, that's a decent little arcade game for the MC10, I think. So anyway, make sure you get the latest version, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you if you go download it from the site. Next up, John Linville is working on a game, and he's been blogging about this on his VDG tips and tricks blog, I think it is. So he's doing a scrolling routine. This is in P mode 1, so it's a 3K screen, basically. So he's got a scrolling river here, and I'll start playing it shortly here, but he's using like stack busting techniques to keep it clean. He's also overlaying the sprite. Now, to me, this looks a lot like River Raid on the Atari 2600, so I think that's what he's going for. He hasn't officially announced what the game is, but for you, those of you that are familiar with the Atari 2600 River game by Activision, is that what this resembles to you too? Or is that just me?
Yes. That's what it reminds me of, yes.
Yep.
So actually, that's promising because I don't think we've really had. I've seen, I think, a basic program in Rainbow or something was trying to simulate River Raid at one point, but I don't think we've ever had really a clone of it. So that'd be a new one for the CoCo. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out.
So have one that's kind of a clone of it that's set in a dungeon, and it's almost impossible to play.
Oh, Dungeon Raid by Ken Kalish?
Yeah, I think that might be it.
Yeah,
So
it's one of
this-
the ones he published in the UK first. Go ahead.
Is this a trick where half of the screen is mirrored, so it's double? I'm just wondering.
I think that is what he's kind of doing, but that's not the ultimate plan. I think he just said he
Well,
pre-generated.
it buys you speed to put foreground objects on because your background.
And yeah, it cuts
only
memory
half
down
of the
too because you don't
background.
have to have separate measurements for each side. You just mirror it from the middle.
Cool. This will be fun.
Yep. No, it looks good. So kudos to John on that one. Next up, I got a 3-pack here. So chronologically, gaming is hitting the end of November and the beginning of December. And I actually did manage to get him in some dates there from hunting through magazines and figuring out when the release dates were. A few actually had specific things on from announcements from the company themselves. So the first one here is from November of 1981, and this is when Mark Data Products first released the original text versions of Black Sanctum and Clickstow Island. And you can see one of the earlier ads there. Now, the ad's from a little bit later, but I did not know this before, but Mark Data Products was actually selling stuff for the other 6809 systems like the SWTPC and gimmicks and stuff like that before they got into CoCo stuff. And these two text adventure games, Clickstow Island and Black Sanctum, they'd actually been selling for about half a year before this on the other 6809 systems. I had no idea. That I found that out from going through 68 Microjournal. So they've actually ported them to the CoCo afterwards because they were used to running them on terminals, etc. So you get to see a very, very brief. I mean, text adventure games is not something he's going to concentrate too much on. He'll show what it looks like. If it has anything innovative in it, then he'll dwell on it a bit more. But it's just a text adventure game, so it's a very brief playing of these two games here. So I won't bother playing the clip in this particular case, but you can take a look at those two. And then a little bit later, he did Quest. This was on actually one I remember getting a copy of back in the day. And this one was a bit different. This was Aardvark. Now, Aardvark went through several name changes, and it depends on what year and month you pick as to what they're called. They were called Aardvark 80, Aardvark Technical Systems, Aardvark something or other else. I can't remember. But they did some cross-platform stuff. They did some work for the OSI machines, and the CoCo at first was pretty well the main one, some TRC Model 1 and 3. Later, they expanded to the VIC-20, the Commodore 64. They did a mix of a lot of text adventure games written in BASIC. They did some arcade games. Dave Edson did a lot of his stuff there. We've actually covered a couple of Dave's games on the Game On Challenge. I think Tube Frenzy's one I remember. But basically, Quest is a kind of a semi-graphics mapped game where you're wandering around this semi-randomized map. It's not totally random, but it's not completely the same every time. And your ultimate goal is to go attack a large castle in the lower right, and you have to actually get the right equipment when you're wandering around. You have to get people to join your party. You have to go to towns to pick up stuff. You get in fights and stuff. Once you expand enough and you get enough equipment, then you can actually get a boat to cross the river, and then you have to get stuff to be able to climb up the tower to attack it. It's all low res, so you're not getting like tons of graphics. But for the time, this was quite different than a text adventure game with noun verb type thing. Like this was more interactive, and it was more large map and more strategy. I remember the ads used to say it takes 2 to 5 hours to play, and that roughly coincides with what I usually took to play it. He doesn't play it for too long, but I think this is one you probably have not seen too often, so I'll play a little clip of it here. I'll let him show the ad bit and then I'll skip it to the actual gameplay.
Quest for the TRS-80 color computer. Let's take a look at Quest.
Unfortunately, had
This
some
one's a
bleed through from
little
the ad.
obscure because we don't have any artwork for this one. Only advertised in a magazine. We do have a manual for it though. Here is a hand-typed manual. Looks like on a typewriter for Quest. How do you load Quest? How do you Jay Rattel? Way to go, Robert. This is by Aardvark Technical Services. The TRS-80 color computer. We're still kind of in the infancy of the CoCo, even though it was released a while back. But the big hits we're going to be seeing is next year. Okay, here we go. It just starts right off the bat. So the manual didn't give us instruction of what that is. Kind of like when we played a Calibeth.
So anyway, just for those of you who have never played the game, for the blue band is the river, and you have to get the right equipment, like a boat, to get across. So that's one of the things you have to hunt down. You're the colon up on the just above the river there. You got mountains on the right. The equal signs are swamp, which will take a lot of your provisions a lot faster. The black thing in the lower right corner is the tower you're ultimately trying to attack, and it's got some fairly simple commands, and then a lot of interactive stuff. Like if you encounter a party of monsters, it'll ask you want to fight, try to be friendly, or run. And depending how damaged you are, that'll depend. It actually does the random rolling too. Like you watch your dice rolls. If you played RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, you actually watch dice rolls for both yourself and your opponent running at the same time, and you have to hit a key to stop them both. So you're trying to like watch two numbers and trying to guess what would be a good time to pause it. It's actually quite a fun game. I mean, it's not ground shaking or anything, but for a little basic game that ran at 16K, it's not too bad. It does have a few little glitches, and this is due to the way BASIC does the scroll of the screen, which we just talked about in Jim Gary's game. So sometimes if you type in something that doesn't work for the input command, like say some letters for a numeric input, it'll do that re-entry or whatever the heck the BASIC says back, but basically says you have to re-enter the value. So it scrolls the screen up, and actually they took that in consideration. There's a special key to redraw the map so it's in its proper spot. I mean, if you did an ML, you obviously wouldn't be doing that, but it's actually a fun game. And I was just curious, like I know there's some RPG players on the panel here, or people that have played some of the stuff like Dagger, etc. How many of you have ever played Quest, just out of curiosity, if any, besides me? I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads. I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads here.
Okay, so we have soldiers. We can attack, run, or be friendly. So the game is playing similar to Tipple of Apshai. We're giving commands of where we want to go. And
I'll just show you one of the attack sequences.
This one's a
and we'll
little
go to the
bit
next
more
one.
basic than the Tipple of Apshai trilogy. And so let's try, I don't even know what weapons we have. Let's try be friendly. Is it B? B?
F for friendly.
Okay, we'll try attack then. Oh, here we go. We're attacking. Well, it looks like B didn't work for being friendly. Let's see what happens when we attack. We're doing a luck roll, and boom. We have 9 survivors, only have 2, so let's fight them again. Again, doing a luck roll like Dungeons and Dragons. Yes. Knock them out. We won. We got a chainmail, plate armor, crossbows, and ready to go on. Yes. Nice.
I think that gives you a little bit of a feel of it. There's a lot of more exploration stuff to do. You can find towns and stuff, and a lot of the things on the map you don't see until you walk across them. So there's actually some stuff you kind of discover as you're going too, which is kind of nice. It's a bit of adventure-y that way. It's not like here's the map, you know where everything is type thing. And then the last one he did is a cover of the. This is a game that actually I just patched, and Karen helped patch for the Dragon as well. Star Trek 3 or 4, depending on what you're talking about. It sounds like Star Trek on the original TerraCity Model 1, 3, and I think the Apple II went through multiple versions. This was officially licensed by Paramount too, by the way, for Adventure International. And it looks like when they started adding like sound effects and a bunch of other things, the version numbers kept going up. The CoCo one is called Star Trek 3 4.0. So the manual here, the box you'll see the sticker in the upper left corner says Atari. So that just happened to be the box art that we found. But the back one actually is the CoCo version. So it actually explains some of the CoCo things. And this, as far as I know, is one of the very first 32 required games released on the CoCo, because this is December of 81. So like Rainbow was like 20-page Xeroxing at this point. And I think Rick, you might remember too, or some of the other old timers here, the 32K upgrade, which didn't come out till the e-board was released. I don't think that came out till the fall of 81, didn't it? Officially? I know some hackers have done it already with, Color Computer News and 16 Microjournal for upgrading beyond 16. But the original CoCo 1 was only sold as 4 or 16K.
And nobody knew about it. It doesn't matter when it came out. Nobody knew about it.
Well, I'm trying to remember, like Radio Shack published their yearly catalogs, the big thick things, about August, September for the following year. And I'm pretty sure I didn't actually have a chance to take a look before the show, but I think their 1982 catalog, which would have came out in August of 81, I think is the first time they advertised a 32K model. I think, but I'll have to double check. But obviously it must have been out officially if Adventure International was bothering to sell a game requiring it. Though they do mention on the back, there is a 16K version of this game that has no graphics, because this actually does have P Mode 1 graphics in it. And I've never seen that particular version of this particular one. I've always just played this one. And this, out of all the Star Trek simulators I've seen on the CoCo, except for maybe Space Wreck, which is kind of the arcade clone of the wireframe 3D one, this is my favorite because it's the most extensive. It's got some machine language subroutines for doing like the warp drive effect and some sound effects. And when you fly up to a planet, it actually zooms up where it shows a picture of the planet in the background, the little Enterprise in front of it. When you're firing your phasers or the Klingons are firing at you, you'll see these circles coming at you in kind of a semi 3D, or you're firing at them 3D. If you miss, it'll go careening off to the side and miss the ship. Like, they did put a lot of thought into this. So I'll skip the preamble stuff talking about the directions, because it's a pretty extensive manual. Has optional joystick controls too. The fixed version that will run on disk systems is on the archive now, so if you want to give it a shot. So I'll just fast forward. That's a title screen where you can see where the confusion with version numbers come in. Star Trek 3, version 4. But I'll see if I can find where he's actually...
And it's going to do a scan of this quadrant. Is there anything around?
So that's the theme of one.
That was it.
Graphics there.
That was the only one. Out here.
In
Sorry, Captain,
space.
oh no, we don't have enough energy.
Everything is green.
Sulu here. Sulu's Klingon warship reading
In space, no one
396
can hear
units
you
of energy.
green.
That's
So
scary.
this is
We've used a lot of power because the captain decided.
Go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to say, this is the Trek that everyone wrote on everything from mainframes to home computers, but licensed.
Yeah, and a bit gussy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like one thing I don't remember if it's mentioned in the manual, because the manual we have is not officially CoCo, but the color of the Klingon ship is actually its relative strength. So a yellow Klingon is a weak one with like 500 units or less. Blue one is medium strength, and I don't remember the exact numbers. And then red is like the most powerful. And their phasers are more powerful if they're more powerful. So you can kind of tell when you first land in one of these sectors, like, is that somebody that I should run away and avoid for now because my energy's low? Like, they added some little things like that aren't in most of the other Star Treks that I've seen of this genre.
The old teletype game would have a K6. And you go, okay, that's a bad Klingon.
Yeah.
So they're actually becoming more and more inclusive of the original mainframe, the time sharing game.
Yeah, because most of the ones that I remember
CoCo.
from the CoCo, we've covered a few before, like CC Trek or Space Trek from Color Computer Magazine, or
which were smaller. Right.
Yeah, and they're basically just the same game, like you said. There's a one in Nitrous 90 of you that's actually there's 2 or 3 in there, I think, but they're all text based. One has color. That was the big fancy thing, was Eddie Collins with color. But this one actually, they took some time with sound effects and explosions and stuff here. I'll just
well, in depth of play, it sounds like, so you have better and weaker Klingons and so forth, which is cool.
They do warp factor 8. Okay, so let's do red alert.
Yeah, you forgot to do that because you should go in with shields up, not down.
We are on red alert. Nice. All right, so there again, Klingon warship reading that much energy. Got it. I think we were supposed to do the alert or go on red alert before we go in this quadrant, but let's see what happens. I have the joystick, so here we go.
This took me a while to figure out how that worked because that's not on the manual.
The ship, moving the joystick, and I'm getting some reading in the top left corner, and I'm looking at my addendum, and
because basically mostly Star Trek you punch in a number from 0 to 8 to do your direction with decimals, and this is adjusting it with the joystick, and those bars is yours 1 through 8, depending on how many.
Direction, let's do 4, I guess. Yeah, so it's full on strategy. So there's not like an action. Oh, this is really cool though, animation. Uh-oh. They got us.
Now it's on the
No.
North Pole.
Oh no. Yeah. Yes, we know about the Cleon.
It's cold in the depths of space, Nick. Wasn't that the con quote? Something along that line.
This would have been better just in standard semi-graphics 4.
What's that?
Text mode. This would have been better if it was just done in the normal low.
I disagree. I played a lot of those, and those get kind of dull after a while. I like the fact that he has like sound effects and some 3D-ish looking graphics.
Oh
Like that.
yeah, but I mean visually, the whole green just turns me off.
The funny thing is, he has an inverse video routine built in as one of the subroutines he calls it, but he only calls it when you're looking at the long range sensors or the title screen. So,
oh, okay.
So try to keep it all different instead of just text on text on text on text.
yeah. Like Space. What's the one that Jake Commander did? Space Trek or something like that. He did Color Computer Magazine.
Yeah, that
he
one
did the
was
low
quite
res,
good.
and that was actually a fairly decent one. He did semi-graphics 4.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
But this one to me went the extra mile, and it's actually earlier. It's 2 years or older than that one. And this is one of the ones I got pirated quite late. Like I did not see it back when I was playing a lot of these games in the day. Like this was back when the CoCo had basically been discontinued already. When I finally got a copy of it, and it only worked on cassette, which took me a bit to figure out. But I was pretty impressed with it, and it was sold by Venture National for multiple machines, and I'll have to see if I can find some videos to compare with, see what the other versions look like. Anyway, Chronological Gaming, he's currently in December of 1981. So this next week, I think he's going to be completing the ones he had firm dates for. And then he's got a backlog of over 800 games that he's got to do to finish the rest of 1981, where he didn't have firm dates. Now, a few of them I actually did send dates. I just sent them too late because he'd already gone past that month for the CoCo stuff. So there's more CoCo stuff coming up. But he was mentioning like, how long is this going to take to get through everything? And he said like the Commodore 64 alone has 20 some odd thousand games. The CoCo's got at least 1,500 to 2,000. So yeah, and he's got some other popular with things like Apple IIs and VIC 20s, and he's covering all the European computers too, like the Dragon and the BBC Micro and all that kind of stuff too. So he's going to be doing this till he dies. So, but if you're into gaming in general and want to see where we came from to where we are now, it's a really fun channel, and he's interactive with the chat too, like we are, which is really cool. So highly recommend his channel, and of course he's covering some CoCo stuff on there too. So I can't wait till he gets to Daggereth and see what he thinks of that, which is 1982. So that should be coming up sometime in the next couple months. And that's it for the Game On news. You want me to just go straight in the regular one there?
Yep.
Okay.
You've already done your regular intro.
I don't know. I just turned away because I can't stand to watch that anyways.
Watch out. We'll bring the Muppets back.
Where's my correct window here?
This is what happens when you badmouth the Muppets.
Oh, just get sued, don't you? You guys seen that black screen?
Yeah.
So, our one of our guests on the Game On Challenge this past week, as well as our guest on the show last week, TJB Chris. And this is a video we actually shot while we were filming our episode last week, which was installing Rick Euland's Keyfix 2 in this case, replacement for the Mylar and the CoCo 2 keyboards. So we did a video of him actually doing it. So
Greetings, everyone. TJB Chris here. Welcome back to the channel, and check out my work area. I did some consolidation, and now I have a nice little work area for stuff again. Woohoo! Anyway, today we are going to take...
First of all, has anybody ever had their work area with CoCos this clean? Because I've never seen this before.
It is new. He just
It's obviously a set.
It's been staged. There's no way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm figuring it might even be a green screen at this point.
It's all CGI.
Anyways, I know some people were asking questions about this on Facebook and even in the Discord about what exactly is this. So I thought I'd play a little bit of the clip intro where he's kind of introducing the product itself. And Rick, do you want me to mute Chris and you talk over, or just let Chris explain it?
No, just let him do what he...
Because I'll play that one section here, the preview overview thingy, And then I'll let you guys go watch the rest of the actual installation, etc.
Let's get to
Rick
it.
can add commentary.
All right, let's take a
or
look at the
questions.
key fix tube. And I'm going to try and keep myself out of the shot as much as possible here. So, came with screws and some other bits. And nice high quality edge connector. This is a cool board. Look at this. We got switches galore and light flickering. I got new lights in here. I'll have to show you that at the end. Up, down, all these nice little things. This should keep the original feel of this keyboard and be really nice. And elsewhere, we also have, in the envelope, we have instructions.
Oh,
and then
throw those away.
on one side. See, that's how easy it is. One side. And we have
Genuine
a
dot
set of
makers.
screws. So, let's get the CoCo 2 apart. We'll get the old keyboard out, and then we'll get this together.
Anyway, you guys will have to watch the rest of the video there, but it's a nice little how-to almost. I think, Rick, you can probably link to this off your page for people that have questions about it, because it kind of shows you exactly what it does, how you put it together, and everything else. So, and I have one myself, and I'm quite happy with it. So, and for those of you who don't know, if the Mylar in your keyboard is going and it's not registering keys all the time now, this is kind of a replacement board. And Rick actually showed earlier, what keyboards he currently has covered that are able to be fixed with this, and replacing them with real switches. Now you have two versions too. You have a clicky keyboard like an IBM 5150 style or 5100, whatever the heck it is.
Type
They're
F
really
or Type
loud
M.
key clicks, and then you got
Yeah,
a quieter one, right?
I'll have to record the cherry numbers. Is this a brown or is this a red? I don't know.
But how? Like I've only played with your loud clicky one because that's what I wanted. So how much quieter is the other version?
It's half as much. I originally wanted to make a keyboard that you couldn't tell wasn't the original CoCo keyboard, and I never got that quiet. But it's quieter.
Okay,
And
I
you
prefer the
can't-
loud.
Yeah, it's funny. You can't tell from the switches if it's going to be loud or quiet by pressure or tensile strength. Nothing. You can't tell. When you put it all together, then the resonance of the board and everything all kind of does whatever it does, and you get what you get. So
Okay. Also, you got a plug from Rocky Hill, Pedro himself, saying KeyFix is a quality product.
Cool. Well, I'm trying to keep things going. I mean, you can fix a Mylar for a little bit, but it's only a
Eventually you
temporary
can't.
fix at best. So I'm trying to make something that, okay, after you fix it, it's fixed for a while. Like
Yeah.
yours.
Now, as discussed earlier in the show, we were talking about possibly getting people that want to reserve stuff for vendors so they know what to bring to the fest so that you're not going to be short and you can't get something. You're currently covering the melted keyboards, both types, and you're covering the CoCo 3 keyboards, and you're covering the F or the DE board, like the full connector, not the.
Well,
just
no,
the motor.
I'm covering the full travel keyboards. I'm working on the melties because I finally have some.
Okay.
And then I might get one from AC to do the F board kind of keyboard.
Okay. So as it stands right now, though, it will have to be a full travel CoCo 2 keyboard
travel
or a CoCo 3
keyboards.
keyboard.
2 or 3, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to cover everything. That's my intentional, that's my intention, is to just have replacements for everything. And eventually when I'll stick it all online when I finally cover my costs and
Okay. Because basically what I wanted to do is try to get people that if they do want to get one of these, maybe order them through you, but you can bring them to the fest if they're going to the fest as well. And they can just pick them up and you can save everybody shipping.
Exactly. And you'll notice if you have a keyboard now, it's not made for the key switches that are on it. It's made for about 7 different kinds of key switches, none of which fit. But that's the intention, is that, at the end of the day, well, here's a board you can put surface mount or through hole or whatever and make a key switch out of it. But, in the meantime, I've got to finance the next project. So we have these.
Yeah. I highly recommend it too, just like Pedro said there, because my old F board keyboard, I took my old CoCo 3 board because I got a couple of Ed Snyder's keyboards before you started making this. And I've inserted the CoCo 3 keyboard into my CoCo 1. And yeah, it's almost as good as Ed's with the custom keycaps and stuff. It really feels solid.
Sweet.
It's definitely an improvement over the chiclet, I'll tell you. Anyway, go check out the rest of this. If any of you want or are interested in this, this is a really good video that kind of gives you an overview of what it is, how it works, how to install it, what it actually works like when it's done and installed too, as well as the little key switch for the alt control keys for the CoCo 3 to double as up and down arrows. If you want to play CoCo 1 and 2 games that are definitely made for that keyboard layout, not the CoCo 3s.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I would never put that in, but Curtis brought it up several times, and it became part of the project.
And what's your website?
I don't know. Computerconnect.com.
Yeah, connect with one N.
Yeah, one N.
Okay, there you
keeping
go.
the tradition alive.
So the website is in the scroll on the main screen there.
Oh yeah.
And I went ahead and put it in YouTube chat also.
Plus, we
just
have a
in
lot
case.
of these links on the CoCo Nation site too, do we not?
Yeah,
We do. There's a products link on there.
Yeah, so a lot of the vendors we have are up on there. So if anybody's looking for some of the stuff we talk about that is for sale, if you hit thecoconation.com, you should be able to find the links.
Come here, you'll get there. Exactly.
Okay, next up, USCGPSU1 on YouTube. Did an upgrade here video, upgrading a 120K Tier City Color Computer 3 to a 512K using Cloud9's Triad 512K mem upgrade, which if I remember, if you hack it and you have a DAT board, you can actually get this to run as a 1 meg board, because I think the chips actually have a meg of RAM. They're just not enabled without a little bit of hackery and adding the DAT board. So it's almost like a freebie, but it will definitely upgrade to 512K very simply. Just basically unplug the old one, or sorry, take out the 4 original chips, clip 2 capacitors, plug in the satellite board, and you're done. I'll just play a little clip. This is somebody, I'm not sure who this is in real life. He might be somebody in our Discord for all I know. I have no idea. This is why I hate handles. But it's a new one. I've never seen this particular channel before, so wanted to give a bit of a shout out.
Hi everybody. Today we're going to be demonstrating how to upgrade a 128K Color Computer 3. The Color Computer 3 is a home computer from the 1980s. This was my home computer growing up. I'm a huge fan of it. I still use it every day. And about a year ago I purchased this, which is the Cloud9 Triad 512K memory module. And you see it looks pretty simple to just pop the chip in and
I won't play the whole video here, but if anybody's interested in that and how to install that particular product, the instructions for the most part actually cover any of the 512K. If you've got a performance peripherals like some of the old school ones, the original Disto, the original Tandys, the upgrade instructions are basically the same. So if you're nervous about trying it, I remember with Nick Marentes and I helped Nick Marotta do his 512K upgrade, and he was pretty nervous about it because he's not a hardware guy. He's like me, but there's no soldering. It's basically if you can operate nail clippers and plugins, you should be fine.
He eventually put the fire out.
That was just me pondering with a soldering iron by my head. But anyway, does anybody know who that channel is? Like, is he somebody that does watch our show, or? Because if not, maybe I'll try to contact him and see if he wants to pop by.
Wait a minute. People watch this show?
Yeah, rumor has it. It doesn't sound like anybody knows who that is. Okay, I'll see if I can contact him. Let me just make a little note there so I don't forget.
With this memory board, it does have one problem though. I've got the same board. If you turn the computer off and then turn it on again to reset the CoCo, it doesn't come back on straight away. You've got to actually turn it off for 30 seconds, a minute.
It has a lot of retention.
Yeah,
it
because
does.
they're using static RAM now, so you have to wait for that little cap to drain completely flat and let the RAM die.
So
or just hit the reset
button.
Yeah, I usually just do Control Alt Reset. I don't usually power.
Yeah,
on.
that's what I always do. But yeah, if a lot of people don't realize that, and they just turn it off and on, and then it doesn't doesn't come back correctly.
If you stuck a battery on that puppy, you might be able to turn the CoCo off and just turn it on 5 hours later, and it'll still be there. I don't know, but you could do that.
It's a good board otherwise.
Yeah, and the fact it has that kind of like you get a free 1 meg upgrade, like Disto used to sell 1 megs back in the day for $200. And basically, if you get the DAT board, which is a separate thing, which Cloud9 also sells, because they use it for their 2 meg upgrade. I can't remember what the modification was, how complex it was. Mark or Rick, do you guys remember what the? Because I know Richard had figured it out.
There's 2 control lines that need to come off the DAT board. I'm not sure where they would go on the triad without looking at doing some probing on the circuit lines to figure out where they need to be.
Yeah, because I remember Richard had told us exactly what had to be done a couple of years back there, and it's.
Because the weird thing is, nowadays you can buy static RAM that is bigger than the CoCo's address space for less than you could fit the right parts. So this is a lot of power idling.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, static RAM is faster RAM, always has been, and it was something that the big end iron end computers like the Gimmicks used, but it was hugely expensive back then. Like Gimmicks is sold with 512K for like 4,000 US or something like that at the same time the CoCo was out. So
right,
we've kind of come co-circle because now it's what everybody's using because it's cheap.
Well, the problem is the CoCo is spending so much of its time taking care of things that it no longer has to take care of.
Like dynamic RAM refresh.
Yeah, if we had a CoCo that didn't do RAM refresh, it would be really snappy. But
that's what the Gimme X does. It sneaks in all that time that would have been doing RAM refresh. That's why it runs at 2.86 megahertz. It's a noticeable difference, let me tell you. Also, we got Kieran in the chat is mentioning there's a guy on Discord with some spare 512K boards for sale, I think. Self-interest here because it's made from his design, because I do know he made his own 512K upgrade. Does anybody know who that is that's selling those? Because we might as well plug him.
I think it's Mike Rojas, I think.
Okay, so there's some alternatives there. So there's a couple places you can get 512K boards. Are yours ready, Mark, or do you have any in stock for sale?
No, not yet. They're built, but they haven't been programmed and tested yet. So
okay,
still waiting for my
ATA
production department. Hopefully by CoCo Fest. Hopefully earlier, actually. But
okay.
Anyway,
there's a couple other alternatives. If you do need to get a RAM upgrade, say run something like EOU, because we basically require 512K because of the GUI and stuff. It's a very easy upgrade to do. Don't feel scared about it if you're not even a hardware guy, because I can do them. Right. And plus the static RAM ones like this run cool. Sorry, what was that, Jason?
You being able to do it, that just speaks volumes of the ease it is to do.
Yeah, that's ease of use. That's real ease of use.
Yes.
A pair of scissors. You'll be good.
Nitrous 9 EOU has nothing on how easy this is.
If you've got a full set of hair, you've got nothing to lose.
Yep. You can tell how many upgrades David Ladd's done.
Lots of them.
And I'm doing that because I think he's in the chat. Anyway, on to the next one. So this is Nine Finger Tom. Now, he did a demo that we covered last week that was showing some Gimme X stuff, because we were just talking about the Gimme X. This is using the VGA port. The Gimme X actually has 5 video outputs. It's got RF, it's got composite, it's got S video, it's got VGA, and next the one I'm missing, RGB analog.
It's got it all.
Yep. And it's actually fixed up to Nick's liking, because every single one of those works in RGB mode. You don't need to screw around with composite. So basically what this demo does here, and you'll see by the title in the lower left corner, it's a 256 by 1152 pixel, 256 color mode that he actually does a vertical scrolling on. So if you guys have seen Mr. Dave's game that you're basically playing the emulators now, Kimiko, I don't know how to pronounce it. It looks like kind of the background of that, except this is a 256 color mode on the Gimme X. And I thought for those of you who are still waiting for the Gimme X to come out, it would be another teaser for you just to drive you nuts. So it kind of resembles like a VGA, the original VGA 256 color mode pictures, where you're getting a fair bit of color detail and a wider palette than you normally get on the CoCo.
How did he load that in? Was the basic
From what he
program?
described it, it was basically loading 8K chunks of the MMU, just poking the MMU and just
All
loading
right,
in
yeah.
chunk
Yeah, I
after
thought
chunk
so.
after chunk.
Because you can see him scan up and down through a virtual window, and then he runs out at the bottom. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk.
Yeah, I mean, he could have smooth scrolled it actually. I mean, the gimme lets you, specify up to what is it, a 4-byte boundary or something like that, Nick? For the start address of the screen.
The gimme a 2-byte boundary.
2-byte boundary, right? 4 pixels. That's what I was thinking. So yeah, you could smooth scroll that too. It doesn't have to be chunky. I think he just did that because you'd be here all day waiting for that 1152 pixels to scroll by.
Right.
Well, you wouldn't scroll 2 bytes. That'd be horizontal then.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like he did it in chunks of probably like 2K or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's your teaser. And then we have next up, Robert Emery, who's actually joined our Discord and is quite active in there, and he's also been active in the list as well. He's known as the CoCo Strangiatos. We just covered his channel, I think, last week for the first time, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. So he's released the first episode of what he's planning to be an entire series here called Will It CoCo. So in this one, he's testing an unmodified GBS 8200 on a CoCo 3. And that's a CJ, EJ, etc. video converter to VGA. So I will play a little clip at the beginning, a little bit at the end to show you the result, and then you guys catch all the stuff in between and definitely comment on his stuff there. This is a good series, I think.
My main interest right now is just getting RGB out of this into a VGA on a monitor. So let's find out. Will it CoCo?
It will.
Spoiler alert, eh? So at first it comes on very briefly, it's a bit off. So
Yeah, he's got to get the syncs right first.
anyway, the eventual result. He's got a little bit of tearing there still, but
It's a little bit blurrier than a proper RGB, but
very readable though compared to trying to do this on a composite monitor.
He's pretty close.
Yeah, I could definitely run this on for Nitrous 9, no problem. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I've got one of those boards.
There you're showing some of the options that he was fiddling with to fix some of the tearing, etc. So anyway, if you want to try one of these boards, A, it does work, but B, he actually shows you how to tweak it to get better results for a CoCo specifically, because it's rather notorious that the CoCo's sync speeds aren't exactly totally in spec.
My first CoCo Fest in 2018, Gary Becker actually showed me where to do the mods on the those GSBs boards to get better signaling with the CoCo. I took down some notes, but I've misplaced them since.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
If you have to find them again and post them.
Yeah, I'll look.
Yeah, yeah, he had like a resistor and a
Yeah, and there was
transistor.
and a jumper, and I think you had to cut a trace on the board, put in a resistor and a jumper.
Well,
Yep,
there's
I was
another
there.
thing. The CoCo drives its RGB so hard that it's hard to convert it back down. I think it's supposed to be .7 tops, and the CoCo does about a volt higher than that.
Yep.
So nothing really wants to be able to pull it back down to sane. And so blacker than black doesn't end up being blacker than black, and all these other weird issues that you wouldn't think would matter. So yeah, I can see a resistor helping a lot.
I may have to talk to Jason. I'll do that offline about some of the dimness issues I've been having with the SCART converter. Now, mind you, first I have to try it with my original CoCo 3, because right now I've got it running on the Gimme X, and I might change everything too. That might be part of the problem.
Yep.
So it's readable, but it's a lot darker than it should be if I'm on VGA going to that. But if I switch it over to composite, it's fine. So I'll test it on the real one, because like I said, that might be a Gimme X, because it does redo all those connectors and how those things work. But yeah, it sounds like this might be some of the same issues I'm having. So maybe that's something if it's just a resistor, I can maybe bring the Gimme X machine down and get it fixed or whatever. Anyway, definitely check out his channel, subscribe to it. Sounds like he's got plans for a lot of videos. I'm trying to remember, was it the same guy that did Color Fog that Alan Huffman was just writing about on Facebook this morning, which is kind of a disk utility for the CoCo 3 specifically. That's all graphics mode with mice driven stuff for manipulating directories and things. He did a picture of it. I think it was Bob. I think it's his program that he did years ago. I'm imagining that Alan will be doing a follow up and kind of explain the thing. He just did a screenshot of it up on Facebook this morning, I think. Next up, Mikey's been very busy, and he's actually been in Hong Kong, so he's kind of doing this on his time off for some reason. He's actually visiting there to visit his wife's family, I believe. But he blasted like 4 or 5 different videos of his vlog this week, and most of it's relating to Pi DriveWire because he's got version 0.6. He was hoping to have it actually ready to release by the show today. He wants more people to beta test it first. I know, Mark, you got some links from him, as did I. So he's got a bunch of videos explaining some of the new features in 0.6 and a few things that aren't quite ready yet as well, if you go through the videos. He's also asked for people to test some things out here before he does the official release, so kind of hammer on it a bit. I'll have the link to that up a little bit shortly. But anyway, I'll just cover the videos here. I won't play too much of each of them because they're fairly extensive, and there's a lot of like showing you stuff running in the background, actually how everything works. So the first one up here is fixing it up. And I should also mention too, I think we mentioned last week that 0.6 is going to fix the problem that causes Todd Wallace's CoCo WX weather program that we've demoed before, and EOU, from not working. That's due to a bug that he has fixed in 0.6. So if you do want to grab the beta of it, that should fix that program as well. So this first one here is about printing with DriveWire. And that's, I'll just play a little bit at the very beginning here.
Hi everybody, this is Mikey N6IL. Today I'm testing out Pi DriveWire's printing feature. The printing feature has been there for a while in Pi DriveWire, but it's probably not something that people think about or use very much. Now I do want to point out that this is an experimental feature of Pi DriveWire, and you do need to make sure that the feature is enabled. And I will show you exactly how to do this.
I won't play the whole thing here, but basically this is to do the printing services. So you, if you print through BASIC or you print through OS9, I'll just use OS9 because it's a bit easier to explain. You do like a redirect a file, list a file to greater than /p, the printer. And basically the Pi driver, if you turn this feature on in 0.6, will capture that data. And I think it's got 2 options, I think, where you can capture it as a straight text file. There's also a way to actually have it, emulate some sort of printer and actually give you like a dot matrix graphical version of it or something like that. I think I've seen. So basically, if you're using stuff that does printing, like from ColorMax or Max 10 or Telewriter or whatever, you can do that kind of thing. So that's really cool if you want to, blast out listings or do some graphic stuff you want to dump into an actual file. So that was the first video released. Second one here is using SSH on the CoCo with Pi DriveWire, and that stands for, what is it? Secure
socket layer.
Yeah. Well, what's the H?
No,
secure shell.
Secure shell, right? Yeah.
It's Telnet with actual encryption point to point.
Yeah. So he goes through and how to set that up. That's another thing that's not enabled by default.
Well, and something that CoCo could never do because it doesn't have the power to encrypt.
Yeah, unless you want to really slow things down to about 110 baud. So he demonstrates it in a couple ways here. He demonstrates it using his own DW terminal, which is the DriveWire terminal program he wrote. And this will actually run on CoCo 1, 2s, or 3s. He's running the CoCo 3 with 80 columns here, but you can actually run it on a 32-column CoCo 1 or 2 as well. And shows you how to enable it, etc., and then run on CoCo 3. And they also shows you how to do it from OS 9 as well, or Nitrous 9. Third one, deload. Now, this is a command that was in the CoCo 1 and 2, and I think it was mainly used by the network controllers that Radio Shack sold, which is a way to bulk send, say, a cassette file to 15 CoCos at once. And you would do deload, and it would download it through the serial port. Now, in the CoCo 3, when the ROMs were kind of patched by Microware, that was something they got rid of because they hadn't been selling network controllers for quite a while. And at the time, I think Microware was looking at doing their own network controller. We've seen at the fests every once in a while, there's a prototype floating around. Never got made, besides a few prototypes, so that never happened. But basically, this lets you download stuff through the serial port, which can include stuff like HDB DOS. I've seen people use that. So they have a cassette-based CoCo they can download the operating system with DriveWire enabled, and then they can access DriveWire files as if it's a disk drive or a hard drive. So it's kind of a pretty cool solution if you don't actually have an STC or real floppy or hard drives. So this shows how to use download or deload with PyDriveWire for the CoCo 1 and 2. I won't play that here because that's a bit more, I guess, specialist for people that are going to be doing that. But he shows you exactly how to do it, get all that stuff set up too, which is really cool. And then the last one here is one he is working with PyDriveWire for the Dragon specifically. And he mentions like the one big difference here is that the Dragons, I think he's using DOS Plus, and I think there's a couple different DOSes you can get for the Dragon. But basically, their disk operating system was a lot more advanced than Disk Basic. They actually had, a sector-based map instead of a granule, and the dir command will return the bytes size of a file. Like, there's a lot of different things in there. And so it's quite a different thing. So you can enable that, and you can switch between the CoCo and the Dragon modes. Say if you're running, through a Becker port on an emulator type thing, so you can actually switch between them on the fly if you need to. And he explains how to set that up and run it from the Dragon. So you can run it with a virtual Dragon 3264 and presumably the real ones too, I would guess. Rocky on the Shell is also saying here, DriveWire needs to act as a deload server to bootstrap loading HTTP DOS, which is kind of what I mentioned. That's something that I know Mikey's mentioned as well. And for those of you who want to give it a shot, and please note that this is beta. Most of these extra features are disabled by default. You will have to enable them manually until enough people test it that he's comfortable that it can be released to the public, and then it'll probably be defaulted on for everything, for most. You can go get it at his site here, Obsolete Computer Systems, which I thought is awesome title. And Mark O, have you had a chance to try this yet? I don't do DriveWire here, so.
No, I haven't. I just was messing with it this morning. So I just got the links this morning, and I haven't spent any time with the CoCo today. So
okay. I will mention for those audio listeners here that can't see the screen, you can download the actual documentation for it as well. So he's actually got a manual that'll explain like what's beta, what's not, what's enabled by default, what's not, how to set up defaults yourself, etc. And he's also got links to all the videos he's been doing on the new PyDriver 0.6, including the weather one we covered last week. So it's all on there. Hopefully enough of you can get a chance to test this, that he gets comfortable that it's ready to release, because there's a few programs that do require it, a fixed version in 0.6. Go ahead, Mark.
Are you going to add this link in the direct link to the download to the show notes, so people could just go to the CoCo Discord and go to the show notes and then get the links for those who are listening?
Yeah, remind me at the end of the show so I don't forget.
I know the video links are in there, but these aren't. So
now that link you posted in the chat, Mark, is that the same link we're talking about? Yes. Or is that the one I'm showing right now?
Yeah, this is the first link. And then the other was just a link directly to the GitHub to download it.
Oh, yeah, that one there. Okay. I will stick that in the notes right now before I forget. And I'll just re-upload them. Okay. Oh, I have it here. Duh.
Good job.
So he's got Dragon Plus support, VDK image support, JVC image support, named object support. I'm not exactly sure what that is. That's new. SSH support, which you covered in deload. So he's got quite a few things in there. Do you know what this named object support? I haven't had a chance to look at the documentation whatsoever.
No, not at all. That's the only thing I don't understand on there. So everything else makes sense.
We're going to have Mikey come back on here when he's ready to make the public release, just going to explain all the new features. So if I played all of his videos, that's an extra hour on the show, and I'm sure nobody wants that. Next up, Alan Huffman. Inspired by a question on the CoCo List email group, because there was a question from Charlie, I think it was, asking about how to do direct access, random access files in Disk Basic. And Alan hadn't done that in a while himself, and I haven't either, so I'd have to, try to remember it too. But basically, he did all the work for me, so here it is. But basically, it's an article on exactly the difference between sequential and random access files, and then how do you do that in Basic? Like, what are the changes in syntax, and how do they work? So he actually gives you some examples of going through both. I remember I did use these back in the day, especially when I had my own BBS I wrote, but that's so long ago I don't really remember. I remember how to do it Basic 9, obviously, but I'm really rusty on the Disk Basic stuff. But he gives you a lot of examples and layouts of how records work and field command and etc. So if you want to learn how to do that kind of stuff, where you can just jump straight to a record number, grab data, put it back, almost like a mini database for yourself there. He explains with a lot of sample code exactly how to do it. You can find that on his blog at subitosoftware.com. Next up, Tier City Retro Programming is doing some more changes to his second game. He's kind of doing this Ghost game. Very lightly inspired by, what's that Tier City Model 1-3 game? 13 Ghosts, I think it's called. Very lightly inspired by it. But he's decided to switch it back to a P mode 1 so he can add some color. Now, because he's using the puts with the background color, it's kind of wiping out the foreground and then redrawing the background behind. So it kind of corrects itself as you go. But basically, he's been experimenting with the different color sets and seeing how that looks with a bit fatter pixels, etc. Takes less memory, so he can actually. We were discussing in some of his comments there that he could actually, if he goes to a lower mode like this, where it takes less pages, you could have like multiple scenes to the background pre-drawn and ready, and then you could like walk from one side of the screen that instantly would blink over to the next chunk that you'd be walking through, etc. So I won't play in the video here because we've done basically watching similar on his last video, but. This just shows the differences of going to the 4-color mode from a 2-color mode. Some of the other things he's been experimenting with, shortening some of the sound effects so it doesn't take so long, etc. But it's been fun watching him figure out how some of this, I don't know if I call them more advanced, but different techniques that were a bit more unique to the CoCo. I'm trying to remember, was there any other 8-bit that had something like a P copy command where you could like restore a background from an unseen screen? Because I don't remember any other basics supporting something like that. I know some double buffering's been done on some other machines in machine language, but I don't remember too many basics, if any, besides CoCo Extended that did that. Next up, now this is pretty cool. Erico Montero has done absolutely gorgeous work working with semi-graphics. Nick, I know you and him were working together at one time in an adventure game using semi-graphics 4, I think it was. But he's really been getting into writing scripts and stuff for Photoshop to be able to simulate the 4-color artifacting modes on the CoCo 1 and 2. And this is going beyond the standard, 2-pixel thing where you've got black, white, red, and blue. He's actually taken into consideration the other colors you get if you certain combinations of pixels together, where you get like yellows and purples and cyans and stuff like that, using a cross-hatching technique type thing. And he's got this kind of a filter thing you can run it through, and you can get it to generate the equivalent black and white bitmap that the CoCo itself would use to draw this, and also the simulated colors in Photoshop. And he's talking about possibly moving over to some other things, but he's got some absolutely gorgeous looking things in there as demos. Now, on a real CoCo 1 and 2, this is screenshots from Photoshop or whatever, it won't be quite as crystal clear as this, but the effect is pretty close to the same. You're still seeing these extra colors. So I thought I'll zoom up a few of these here. So you can see he's playing here with the different crosshatch designs and which pixels are on and off, which colors are on and off artifacting. And you can see you're getting some of these simulated yellows and cyans just by crosshatching white and blue, etc.
This works
that's
perfectly
the
until the.
What's that?
This works perfectly until YouTube scales in on it and over analyzes, and then the color.
Yeah, it turns into a mess.
Yes, it worked good, and then it gets bad.
Yeah.
So you can see what you would see, and then you can see what YouTube sees. So
now, I'd like somebody to do with an NTSC composite monitor or RF if they got handy. I'd love to see somebody come on the show next week with some of these little graphics that he's done and actually show what it looks like on real hardware. What the real artifacting would look like type thing. And here he's doing with the pure colors that he was kind of converting from. So he's done these, scaled ones, and then basically it interprets that as the crosshatch technique. And here he did one where he kind of simulated Double Dragon. So the one on the right would be the raw bitmap. If you're running, say, a comp or an RGB monitor on the CoCo 3, it'd just be the raw black and white. It should look pretty well identical to that. Now, the one on the left is showing the simulated artifact colors. Now, it won't look quite that good on a real CoCo, but it should be pretty close. You can see like the boxes in the background, kind of mixture of yellows and oranges and stuff like that, just because of the cross-hatching technique. And the characters actually have shading on the legs, when they're walking, so you can tell which one's distant. Like this would look pretty darn cool, I think. Now, because of the cross-hatching technique, it's not like you can just shift every 2 bits for a pixel. You might have to do it in chunks of 4 or something to keep the color consistent as you're moving across. So the movement of some of the character stuff might not be as pixel smooth as they would be for a straight artifact color game. But it'd be kind of intriguing if could you pull it off actually doing artifacts like this controllably and nicely without too much jumping on a CoCo 1-2 with using composite artifact, NTSC artifacting versus just trying to do the pure 4-color type mode. I'd be kind of curious to see if it would be able to pull that off. I was going to ask Nick to volunteer for that, but he hates artifacting, so that won't be happening.
I wonder if anyone's actually modified the CoCo 1 and 2, the hardware, to get the alternate artifact colors. The green and
the green, purple. Yeah.
Yeah, because the deluxe CoCo used to be able to do that.
Yes.
Or was meant to be able to do that. So I thought if it's a simple mod, it'd be good if someone could come up with a mod for the CoCo 1 that could do that. And then maybe you could map it to, if there's a spare address somewhere, so you could actually turn it on and off from software.
Yeah, because then you could choose your color set. Do you want black, white, blue, red, or do you want black, white, purple, green?
Yeah, you have 6 colors.
Game.
Well, more than 6, but yeah.
This gets so complicated because back in the day, I had 2 RCA XL100 color televisions. One of them would do interbank in like 8 colors, and one of them was 4.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess I had cheap TVs because they all did the multicolor. Like Sands of Egypt was the one I always used to test colors because that had yellows, even on the splash screen.
But these
yellows, purples, greens.
These were the same model in good condition, and artifacts were still iffy on the same model TV at the same year in the same time on period correct. So, yeah, good luck on the brown and orange.
Well, the other thing too, like especially when you're going back to TVs, the composite probably had this problem too. I never really had a composite mark. But there's this thing called the tint control and the hue control, which everybody had set differently.
Well,
especially if this was a shared TV with your regular TV watchers in the household, then you could have completely different colors depending on how much you crank the tint.
Well, that's funny because tint was actually position. So the RGB was not pixels, and the scan was not aimed at them, and the tint control sort of shifted left and right. So hopefully you hit the right color pixels most of the time. You hit the right phosphor dots with the blue gun and the right phosphor dots with the green gun. So it was also variable back in the day, but you can make a beautiful picture like he's showing here. How would you reproduce that on an LCD screen? I mean,
you'd need some sort of microcontroller to reinterpret it. I think
reinterpret everything between you and the monitor. I mean,
that's basically what the Gimme X and some of these other things are doing, or even MAME for that matter.
They're trying, yeah.
But yeah, this would be kind of cool. I mean, the tint controls. I remember I used to take either Sands of Eden or Donkey King, and I would adjust the hue until it looked as close to the arcade for Donkey King as I could, and that was basically what I always set by. I wanted the orange ape and the Mario with some blue in it type thing, not greenish or purplish or. And then when you switch back to text mode, it looked like crap, so you had to switch it back.
Right. Well, and to do your 80-column text, you use the tint control to even out the text because it shifted the position left and right of the phosphor and the scan. So it was really weird. But yeah, the tint control would fix your black and white text.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be like CoCo 3 level goodness, but yeah. But like Telewriter, if you're trying to run, say, the 85 or 64 column mode, you would kind of do those adjustments, try to get the text as clear as possible.
Well, in CoCo 3 into a color TV with a green screen, the tint control would make it sharp. It was a sharpener. It was really weird. I can't describe it further. But
I think that's why a lot of the programs back then chose the green screen background, because you'd still have some artifacting. You could definitely take a look at a game that was designed for artifact colors, and you'd see kind of a bluish green or an orangish green, but it was mostly green. So it kind of like cut down the amount of artifacting, but it didn't eliminate it entirely.
Right.
But a lot of the text processors and stuff chose green instead of the white background specifically to cut down the artifacting, less fringing of color. Anyway, these are really good examples. I mean, I would love to see this on a real CoCo with composite and just see how close to this does that get. Okay, next up, Tom Dunk in the CoCo group on Facebook. Now, he originally posted this earlier in the week, and he said he had 6 left of these CoCo composite video and audio out cards. You had to populate them yourselves. And this is actually based on a schematic of Mark Data Products universal composite adapter that they used to sell as a commercial product back in the mid 80s, the CoCo 1 and 2. And he basically had 6 of these up, and they were already sold out by, I think, Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. So, but he mentions that this project is available at PCB Way, and there's a direct link to it here. It's also in the show notes that you can actually, order these boards made for you, or you can get the Gerber file and make it yourself if that's what you're kind of into, but you have to get the parts for it. Now, does any of you had the Mark Data Products original version of this, or has gotten this new one to try? I'm just kind of curious how this looks in actual life. He's got some photos here that he took. I'll see what the board first. So that's what the little board looks like. And that's the results he's getting. There's the SDC's boot screen with it. And then the ordering here, you can actually order it here, and this kind of shows you where some of the wiring and stuff goes. As I mentioned here, this is a reproduction of the Universal Video Driver by Mark Data Products that was available in the early 80s. And I do remember that product being on sale. I've never seen it in action, unless I saw it at their very early Rainbow Fest and just didn't know what I was looking at. I was wondering if anybody here had tried this back in the day or has tried the new version now and see how well it works.
Not I.
Deathly silence is a no.
No, I got Ed's composite board for the CoCo 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how this would compare with like the modern solutions, because this is basically just a repro of the original Mark Data. It's not, adding a microcontroller or something to adjust things. It's just the raw composite out.
It looks exactly like the CoCo 3 circuit, 3 transistors, a little bit of driving, and throw it all in. Yeah.
But yeah, there's Gerber files and everything here. So if you guys are into that kind of stuff, making your own hardware, you can actually just download this stuff and just go for it. Which is kind of cool. So it's basically an open source project, kind of. But if you want to get it pre-made because you're like me and can't solder,
and it's so simple. You can't kill it. You want to change it?
Oh, I could kill it.
Yeah, well, but it's such a basic thing that it should be accomplishable and hackable for any kind of video things you want to do. This is a good way to get from what the CoCo has to what you want to make. Even if it isn't just composite video, maybe you want to do something else, but you get your signals all, yeah, I like it.
I also like his ROM upgrade that's actually included in this picture here that's not part of the package, but is that like a 28 to 24 pin adapter ROM or something?
Right. Yes, actually, from the way it looks, it might be a similar product to Jim Brain's 2364 adapter, because that's how you can use a 2764 in place of those. What is it, Mark? The Motorola 68766.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool.
Lots of 6s in it.
Yeah, the one you can get versus the one you can't get.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cool project, and it's kind of like, unlike most of the modern stuff where you're just kind of like solving a problem now because there's no parts and stuff available. This is actually duplicating something from back in the day. It's period correct if you're really into the period correct stuff. It's just manufactured much easier and cheaper nowadays because you have stuff like PCB which didn't exist back then. Anyway, if any of you ever get
the bottom,
this... Sorry,
what's the bottom picture he's got there on the side?
That.
Yeah, just wondering if it shows all the other wires where they go.
Yeah, installation.
Oh yeah, it taps off the RF modulator.
Period correct J clips too. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, if any of you ever gets this, I would love to get kind of a mini review from one of you and maybe a bit of a demo just to show what it looks like installed.
His power supply is modded as well. It's not a transformer. Or is it? Am I looking at it wrong?
It's that weird sideways one with the fuse on top.
Oh, right. Okay, yep.
Okay. If anybody ever gets one of these, I'd love to have you come on the show and give us a quick review. Next up, speaking of drive wire, so we've got Mikey working on Pi drive wire and adding new features, etc., to it. And we've also had Pedro has been busy getting DriveWire 4 working on modern Java systems, because one of the biggest problems with DriveWire 4 is that basically it was built using I can't remember what version of Java. It's quite old, and basically the newer versions of Java completely broke it. So he's gone in and changed things around. I know he's had to, especially on the Windows side, he's had to change some libraries that it calls to use different versions of those libraries that are a bit more new, a bit more compatible. And he's basically got it working now that you can actually get the official DriveWire 4 running again on your modern Windows 10 or 11 machine, with all the DriveWire 4 features. So that it supports like MIDI and TCP/IP and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he's got that available for download, which from looking at the screen at the time I loaded this page up, it's already been downloaded 10 times this week. I don't know, Pedro, is there anything further to say on that? I know he's been trying to make versions for other systems like Linux and possibly Mac OS 10 as well. So this might be a good way to get the server running, the Java version of DriveWire server running.
Linux works good with I put on Open Java 17 and just his basic setup, and it worked fine. I do need to test his little icon and setup loader to make sure that can be added to the package and be reliable.
Yeah, he just commented. He said, yes, it finally works. It's the serial library had to change for Windows. And I don't know if anybody's tried it on Mac OS 10 yet. I imagine Mikey might try it at some point to check and make sure that PyDriver is working the same way.
It should. He has some Macs. Yeah, the RTX library has always been kind of weird and flaky for that thing forever.
So you
Java's
go
flaky, just period.
Anyway,
Well,
there's now a
flakier
couple of DriveWire options coming out. So you got the Pi DriveWire version 0.6 once it's out of beta, which should be pretty soon. If you guys are into testing that kind of stuff, please do help Mikey test it so they can get the release done as quick as possible. And then we've got, the official DriveWire 4 servers now been updated to run with more modern versions of Windows, et cetera, too. So got multiple options if you're into using DriveWire. Next up, Tony Lucario, who I believe is a fellow Aussie to Nick. And he posted on Facebook here, and there's some pictures, so unfortunate for the audio listeners, you won't be able to really see what we're looking at here, but I'll read his quick little brief description. It says, my old CoCo 3 has RS-232 installed under the motherboard and a dip switch slot under the CoCo for printer with all baud rates set up. The one I still use today. So I'll click and zoom these up here so you can see he's got this connector on the bottom. And then he's got cut a hole in the bottom of the case here to have these switches to change the baud rates. And he actually wrote in that little gap where the RGB cable goes through. He wrote a couple things just so we could remember what the machine for, like this 512Ks, the 1987 Gimme chip, etc. But then you can see at the bottom, he's got the switches, and then for 9600 baud, 4800 baud, etc. So if you want to drive a printer, you could just flip the switch and it would drive this serial printer at that baud rate. And he's got the RS-232 card basically bolted on the bottom of the case, it looks like here. And of course, this is a PAL version, so Nick will be familiar with this. And you can see the little dip switches up in the cutaway there. So that's kind of an interesting way to put in this is a 6551 based RS-232, so it's not a bit banger. So this would be like full speed serial without the CoCo being dragged down, trying to keep up doing one bit at a time. And your bitbanger still works. So this would be nice for an OS 9 system, actually. You could run like high-speed serial through this, interrupt driven in the whole bit, and then you got the other one for slower stuff that you want to do. So I thought it was kind of neat. This once again shows the CoCo is one of the machines from the 8-bit era that I think it was hacked more than most by the hardware people to do all kinds of little projects like this. Next up, I'm not even sure how to pronounce his name. Stefan Motschwiller? Sure. And his description of this for the audio listeners, I'll just read it out because it's kind of humorous. So he says, hello, here's my little Frenchie. I'm looking for the video port pinout. Looks like an S-Video mini DIN socket. Thanks for your kind help. So what this is a French version of the CoCo. Well, they called it the CoCo 2. And this is a full-size white CoCo 1K. So this is basically what we knew in North America as the 64K color computer. This is the one that came out in fall of 1983, was around briefly until the CoCo 2 64Ks came out. and then they just kind of dropped it and went back to CoCo 2s because they were cheaper to manufacture. But the difference is here is that they labeled it as a CoCo 2. Now, they did this in Australia too, I do believe, Nick. The full-size CoCo 1 style case with the melty keyboard was called the Color Computer 2 in Australia, was it not?
Yes. Well, initially, yes.
And then you guys got the smaller CoCo 2 to replace it.
Yeah, then the next one came, yeah.
Okay. So that's one thing that's a little bit odd. So I'll show you the little bit of a zoom up here. You can see color is spelled correctly.
Yep.
And it doesn't say
that
64
exact machine.
What's that, Nick?
I've got one of those machines exactly.
I don't know if you got it exactly like this one. We'll find out. Sorry, somebody else was saying something too. What was the question or comment? No. Okay. So basically, this looks like a standard 64K color computer, the white case, full size, equivalent of a CoCo 1 grade, just painted white. The melty keyboard, that was the first appearance of the melty keyboard in any CoCo. And there's a zoom up to show you the fact it's spelled right. Now, if I remember correctly, the North American one actually said 64K color computer. It didn't say 2 at all. But here's where you start to see it's a little bit different, probably than the one Nick has. This is the CCAM version.
Oh, yeah.
So this, as far as I know, is only sold in France. Not to be confused with Quebec. We just had NTSC up here. But
yeah, that would make sense. CCAM, France.
Now, in the comments, he actually posted a picture of the connector on the back. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we are.
It's like a mini DIN, I think.
Well, I Googled the hell out of this.
Yeah, that's different.
It is used for assorted video connectors is the only thing I could chase down.
Well, basically, it's a primitive version of SCART. It's a Paratel cable. It's SCART RGB. So it's basically one of Jason's boards built in. And you just had an adapter cable going out this to SCART. Basically, you're ready to go.
Yeah, S-Video.
No,
it's not S-Video.
It's not. 8 and 9 pin DINs were used for assorted video that isn't S-Video. It doesn't have the little key that goes in there. I see. Chase this down and it just went nowhere.
CCAM is the third most common video encoding technology after NTSC and PAL, which
right, but this isn't really a CCAM connector. It was just assorted video. So who knows what they were chasing when they made this?
Yeah. Now, one of the comments here from Phil Antonio, who's actually got one of these from what I understand, he says it's a Paratel cable SCART RGB. So it's actually an RGB out. It's not composite. It's not RF. It's not NTSC. It's not PAL. It's RGB.
So assorted video, I guess.
Yeah.
I like how Europe used channel 36. Channel 36 is so much better for these computers than 2 and 3.
Yeah, UHF frequencies.
UHF.
Yeah, the video is rock stable. There's no herringbone. It's absolutely perfect where we had to suffer with
interference from a channel right next to it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and the computer is a multiple of the TV signal. And yeah, it was just horrible. So yeah. 2 wins.
Anyway, I thought that was really cool because I've not seen the French backside connector there. We've seen, I think, the MC10 French one had something similar, but now one thing I wanted to point out here is that this does not look like the French keyboard though, because that was an AZERTY keyboard, and I don't think IOP would have been on the right hand side.
Right.
Unless I'm remembering
American. This is You're right. This is that stupid keyboard, the first melty keyboard I showed in my thing, the one that has the phenolic.
Oh wait, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just looking at my keyboard here, so that the numbers obviously are the same between both. The top row of letters has IOP at and the 2 arrows. That matches the original. But if you look below that beside the enter, that's an M.
Oh,
that's not what we have.
Yeah.
So I'm not super familiar with these already, but I maybe this isn't.
Below that looks like a H, or could be a H.
Could be.
Right. So
this probably isn't AZERTY. I'd have to find a picture of an AZERTY keyboard to compare, but maybe the top row, some of the keys were in the same spot as we're used to on a QWERTY keyboard. But yeah, I've never really seen one of the CoCo 2s. I'm going to keep calling it a 64K CoCo because that's what I'm used to, but I've never really seen like up close.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah, 8-Bits in the basement who lives in France says, yeah, it looks like an Azerty. So I kind of forgot that the IOP is the same between the two. So that's really cool. I'd love to see what a picture looks like, coming out from something that basically is built in SCART natively, and see what it comes out like just with an adapter cable. Next up, now this is not strictly CoCo related, but is 6809 related. And this was put up by Sam Battle in the Motorola 6809, 6809, 6800, which is technically kind of wrong. 6809 is Hitachi, but basically any 6X09 chip-based group. And this is using an SWTPC. And I mentioned this way at the beginning of the show. That was one of the 6809 and 6800 before that based machines that was manufactured for higher end stuff. This was more like gimmicks level type stuff, like $5,000 machines. But what he's done here is he's hooked up his 45-year-old 609 based SWTPC, and this would have came out a year or two before the CoCo came out. So this is 1970s 609. It was not originally intended to be plugged into the synthesizer, with some messing around it. Now it does. And I think if Danny O'Connor is watching this, she should probably like this video too. I know, Nick, you've been fiddling with basically doing, what is it, the Fairlight? You're kind of
He's stepping on our turf, Nick.
Well, I don't think you guys are selling SWTPCs to run this. So
no.
And the SWTPC used to run Flex or OS9 level 1. That was its main thing back in the day. I think the later models had MMUs and stuff too, but this, I believe, is one of the original 64K models.
Yep.
So you have keys in the keyboard basically to do the different synth sounds. I can't imagine trying to play something like this on a computer keyboard versus a piano keyboard and doing this well. And he's adjusting effects, live with his left hand. I won't play the whole thing there, but that's pretty cool because he's basically got this little program running on the SWTPC, and he's typing in, he pre-typed in a drum pattern, which it's now playing in the background on its own. And then he's actually hitting keys to play these other notes live while it's playing, and it's actually scrolling text on the screen, kind of showing what keys he's hit for each note.
So
I think
is
he's
that
adjusting.
a MIDI?
No, that's raw analog.
Okay.
Yeah, raw analog. He's got some DACs in there that send out the voltages to his analog synthesizer. And that program is actually a sequencer, and you can actually select of the 4 different channels. So you can do a patch, build it, run it, and while it's running, then you can also select a different channel, and you can do stuff live or put something else in and mix them. So you can have all the channels going. So I saw that video. It's cool.
Yeah. And I will mention like the board that Nick and Rick are working on. Hey, your name's rhyme. Doesn't require this honking big box that he's using here in the background. So it's just a nice little card. So you don't need something 3 feet high.
Into it. Yeah. Yes.
I don't think it's real competition for you guys because I don't think anybody wants to afford to buy this and this, which probably, even nowadays, $1,000 or so because it's all retro.
So
and
here's an envelope generator nowadays. It's a little smaller. So yeah.
But that's pretty cool for late 70s era 6809 based machines pulling off that kind of a stunt. And of course, the Fairlight itself, the synthesizer, actually has a 609 for each channel, doesn't it?
It has a 6800, the first ones.
Yeah, but the 6809 models, was it one per channel or was it one control?
The later models had 6809s, yeah. Yeah, I think it was. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, it had a processor on each card, on each channel. Very expensive.
Yeah.
It was a very expensive machine.
Yeah, these SWTPCs weren't cheap either if you go through the old 68 microjournals. They were cheaper than Gimmicks, I do remember that, but I mean, Gimmicks started at like $3,000-$4,000 up to 10.
Right.
Now we get a little bit of MC10 news. So this is a YouTube short which means it has no controls you can actually fiddle with, like to pause or to skip ahead or whatever. I hate YouTube Shorts, personally. Let me get on to my notes here. So this is by a channel called Bits and Bytes. And this is a short booting and using an MC10 for the first time. He's got some background music stuff there, so I'll see if I can kill the volume after it starts playing. And maybe I can mute it. Yeah, there we go. So basically, he got one, he plugged it in. Now, you'll notice there's a ton of RF interference. He's done no mods to this at all. He just plugged it into a TV, straight out of the RF box into a TV that handles RF, which is getting to be rare, and it's a tube TV. So he's getting, as we mentioned before, all the herringbone and all that weird crap in the background. But I mean, basically, it worked out of the box. So that's a good thing. First time he's ever booted it up. And it's readable. I mean, it's kind of what we looked at, as Rick was mentioning. This is what we got used to back in the day. So we're getting kind of spoiled with all these modern adapters and stuff now, I have to say. So basically, just he does the standard vanity thing where you do print whatever, go to 10 type thing. So I won't play the whole little short here, but I'm hoping he does some further videos actually using it now that he's actually got the machine up and running and hooked up. And he did mention in the comments that he is planning on trying to clean up the RF interference. Next up, Simon Johnson gave us an update on his port of the Gakken port of Frogger. This was a Japanese game system, a rather odd one, that used the VDG chip that the CoCo has. And like the MC10, it usually ran much lower res than the chip is capable of, usually P mode 1, which is 128 by 96 by 4 color. And we've seen the unreleased Frogger port for that. And Simon's been working on basically porting that to the MC10. Now, the original Gakken had a 6801. The command set is pretty close to a 6803, but the embedded microcontroller style stuff like interrupt timers, etc., there's more of them on the 6801. So there is some hardware differences that he's had to deal with. And he's been going through and he's kind of figuring at this point, he's probably going to scrap the original 6801 codes because it's using a bunch of embedded direct page and embedded timers and stuff that the 6803 on the MC10 does not have, or does not have available anyway. So he's thinking about just grabbing the assets from the game, like grabbing the music bits and the graphics, sprite shapes and tiles, and just rewriting it, basically the code from scratch to get around the fact that he doesn't have all these timers available. So that was kind of his little text base up there. There's no graphic thing to show, and he's had a few people volunteering to help with little bits or giving suggestions. James Diffendaver, Robert Seeks, and the other guys that are really big in the MC10 side of things. So hopefully this project continues through to completion, and there'll be a port of what would have been an actual licensed version of Frogger, basically ported over to the MC10 using the same video and close to the same chip. So it'll be pretty cool to see that. So that's another arcade port in machine language coming over for the MC10. Aside from, we've seen some of the recent ones like Bosconian clones and stuff, and of course there's been a Pac-Man clone and Flappy Bird clone and a bunch of things too. So once again, the MC10 getting a lot of love. Next on to the Dragon news. So 8-Bit Shack on YouTube, and this is a new channel from what I can tell because it was only 2 subscribers when I saw it earlier. Now it's up to 5. Did not unboxing of a loft find. This is the second loft find Dragon we've seen in as many weeks. So this was one that would stayed up in a loft for 35 years, packed up, and he unboxes it, fires it up, and actually his picture quality isn't too shabby. He hasn't done any hardware mods to it at this point.
This Dragon 32, which has been in a loft for 35 years.
Now you're seeing a little bit of noise under the green box of the 32 by 16 screen, so he's getting a little bit, but I mean that looks pretty darn good. Be honest, especially considering I've seen some other people that pull Dragons out of a loft after 30 years and they have to start replacing caps and all kinds of, or fix a power supply or whatever else. And this was just straight out of the box, plug it in and go. And it actually came out pretty good. So he's planning on doing some follow-up videos on this as well. Now at this point, I don't think he has any drives. I don't even know if he has a cassette recorder at this point. So hopefully he hears about some of the SD card solutions for the Dragon, like the CoCo SDC, or what's the other one called? The native Dragon one that also simulates cassette games stuff.
MM something it was, MMC.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah. So hopefully he hears about some of those that he can skip trying to load up real cassette. Anyway, go check out the video. It's kind of cool just seeing, you know, him unboxing and kind of explaining the bit of the history of the Dragon, etc. Next up, we got an update from Julian Brown. Now, Julian is one of the two people working on doing modern duplications of the original Dragon 32 and 64 motherboards. Julian's doing the 32. Karen, the guy, author, Explore, is doing the 64 one. And they both hit milestones recently where everything seems to be working. Julian ordered some, what he hopes to be the last generation of the boards for testing. And he wasn't expecting to get these for a couple weeks. They actually came in on January 26th. So they came in on Thursday. So I'm guessing he's probably going to be working on this weekend. So we should have an update by next week as to whether the latest board revision works or if he has to still bodge wire it. If it's only one or two, he might just leave it that way. If it's a lot of bodge wiring, I might have to order a new set. But just like Pedro's been doing with the CoCo 2s and 3s here, it's really cool seeing that we're getting these duplicate motherboards. Now we've got the kit that Brian Weasler has that we can get some information of too to duplicate these. So hopefully the CoCo shortages and the CoCo $500 CoCo 3s on eBay hopefully will become a thing of the past here, and because people will just buy new stuff and basically have the same literal functionality because it's basically a duplicate of the original motherboard. And the last one here, I'm going to have to do this in two parts. So the first part here, I'll show you the Facebook post, which is what I saw first. So Tony Vincent in the Dragon group on Facebook says, the first day of opening at the Northwest Computer Museum, this is up in the UK, all hands on exhibits and Dragon 32 and CoCo side by side. Ashamed to say I had to Google the syntax for the line command, forgot the P set. Much better picture on the CoCo, that's surprising. Dragon using RF out and might need its pot adjusting. Anyway, well worth the trip if you're in the Wigan Lay area. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly.
Wigan.
Wigan? It could be. I have no idea.
I think.
So this is what he's talking about, doing a line demo. So he's got the CoCo doing vertical and horizontal lines or maybe boxes. And then the Dragon, he's got a bunch of diagonal lines all running in PMode 3. So you can kind of just see it and it just runs. And then he took a shot of some of the rest of the museum. You kind of get an idea of a bunch of little PCs and, you know, BBC Micro's even got some printers and stuff here. All the old CRTs. I don't see too many, you know, modern LED based TVs, etc. here. So it's definitely period correct, I would say. Now, one of the guys on the Amigos Discord, Mitsuyama, was also at this opening the same day as Tony was, and he took a whole whack load of pictures. So I'll show you those shortly. I'll switch over to Discord to show you those. But he mentioned not all of the machines were hands-on. There was some stuff that apparently you could only just view. I don't know if it's rare machines or maybe they just had time to hook up, or it might have depended on what time of the day he got there. Let's see if we can get over here. Switch. I'll probably have to. I'll stop share to start it. Okay, are you guys seeing that?
Yep.
Okay. So just to read his text here for the audio listeners here too. He's Mitsuyama says, I spent a couple of hours at the Northwest Computer Museum this morning. It was a little smaller than what I was expecting. There's a good selection of retro computers, although not all of them were powered on to use. I imagine that this will improve over time, as today was a soft launch, so it's not even the official launch date. It's worth a visit if you're in the area, but it's probably not something you'd make a trip out to see. And if they get more stuff in there, it might be. Or if you've never seen a lot of these old machines, it might be worth a trip anyway. So they've got a section here with electronic components and kits. Discord doesn't have a fast forward button. Sorry. Here's some an exhibit of the original boxes that some of these machines came in. So they've got the Commodore Amiga 500, the Radio Shack Tier City Color Computer, the Dragon 32, some ZXs, TIs, Spectrums, Lynx, Amiga 570, Toshibas. So it's kind of cool. This is something I've not really seen too many people like put together. Is not the computers themselves, which we've seen at quite a few computer museums or BCFs or whatever, but the original boxes they came in. So you can see how the designs of the boxes change. And most of them have photos, and the original CoCo 1 did not.
Go ahead. The 994A had the nicest computer box. They were pushing Apple for their day. It was a beautiful box. It was well photographed. It was big. It was glossy. The insides were nice.
Yeah, and the Tandy ones, like the original color computer one, they just had text basically. They had the red fragile, and then they just had Radio Shack to a color computer. CoCo 2s and 3s, they actually had a kind of a reddish drawing of the computer at least, so you can kind of see what you're getting. And the Dragon 32 followed that mold. They just have the Dragon logo all over the place and the word Dragon 32. Now, Nick, I think you guys had multicolored boxes in Australia, didn't you? You have red, blue, and white or something?
No, it was just red and white as well. I think we
okay.
had the same for the CoCo 3 anyway.
Two-color print. Yeah.
No, our CoCo 1 boxes were essentially the same as the one in the picture there.
Okay. Because I thought I've seen pictures of some CoCo boxes.
No, the colored ones. No, that was for a Christmas pack. So it was a Christmas bundle. And you put,
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, the CoCo in its own box went into that, as well as the cassette player, software. It was part of a Christmas promo pack. It wasn't the actual computer only box.
Just like
Okay,
the
that's what I'm
commercial
thinking
we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing like there's a multicolored one.
I mean,
Yeah,
I have a CoCo 3 box that is red, white, and blue.
Oh, you do? Is it a North American one or is it from somewhere else?
Yes.
No,
I have one
it's
too.
North America.
It's North
It was,
American.
yep,
It's a two-color box, so
yeah, it's two-color, but you know the box is white. So yes, I do have a multicolor box.
Okay. Was that just like later on, or was that for like a Christmas special? Like
well,
Nick
they
said?
did that. It's the same cardboard box, but instead of red and black, they used red and blue.
I think it was later on because I don't think we got CoCo 3 until later on.
Yeah,
I think the early CoCo 3s are Korean made. And I know in the CoCo 2s, all the Korean CoCo 2 boxes I have are just white with slick, red on like a slick white. Whereas the CoCo 3 box I have is red, white, and blue, but it's on just a paper, not a slick paper. But
Like not glossed over.
Right.
Yeah, not glossed,
okay.
yeah. So that they're very
yeah,
distinctly
yeah.
different when you touch them or when you look at them.
Yeah, I think we had that too. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna check to see what he's got for. Where did my window go? There we are.
Cool.
I lost my Zoom. I'm doing well today.
Zoom hasn't lost you, so just fake it.
So there's a nice shot down the table. You can even see the sign in the back window there. And chairs are set up for some of the ones you can actually play around with. It looks like some of the stuff in the middle table is not turned on, plugged in. But basically just to show you, like there's a whole bunch of Macs in the foreground there. You can see some of the like the G3 educational iMac or eMac as I think it was called, and some of the old PowerBooks, etc. I have to get used to the fact that all these interfaces are different between programs here. It's a pain in the butt.
I like the wall art.
Yeah. No, it looks like a nice little museum. It's not, like, as the one person mentioned, it's not huge, but it doesn't look bad at all. If I was in the neighborhood, I would definitely go see it.
Where is it located? In the UK?
How did you pronounce that, Nick?
Wigan?
Wigan or whatever the heck it was?
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the name of the town. Okay. Area.
Okay.
BBCs.
Yeah, whole row. And these are the hands-on ones you can fiddle with.
That'd have been like the classroom setup, probably.
And here's the same display that was shown in the Dragon Facebook group with the CoCo 1 on the left, and then you can kind of see the manual for or one of the books for the Dragon on the right of that, but kind of showing the original CoCo 1. Looks like an F board, judging by the centered Radio Shack symbol and no K-RAM sticker thingy on or button on the top right.
Lightly used, one chord scar, and nice.
And then this is just the in joke because they always yell this at the end of the CoCo show. Someday I'll make it there. And here it is next to its Welsh cousin, as they put it, so the Dragon 32. With the much, much better keyboard. North Star Horizon, which that's an ADM 380A terminal. We had these at work. I remember these well.
Everyone had ADM 3As.
Yeah. We actually had ours hooked up to the CoCo. So I mentioned I would be showing his pictures on it. He said he took a ton of others here, but he just didn't want to flood the channel. So that's some of the pictures he took. Anyway, if you guys are into a variety of machines here, if you become a Patreon to any of the Amigo shows, you get access to their Discord. You can join in voting on what games they play for every one of their platforms. So a little bit of a plug for them. And that's it for the news. Oh, I had to wake up Mark first. I keep forgetting I have to do that.
What's that?
The show started.
Oh, did it? I'm up. I'm awake. Oh, so what do you want to do next?
I think we've pretty well covered everything, honestly. Except a plug for next week. We're going to have Brian O'Neill, the author of Tetra, that is our Game On Challenge. Also the author of the original Pack Dude. Both of those were public domain freeware games. And also him and Chris Fry, who's from Ken. I'm trying to remember. They said at the time Pack Dude Monster Maze was done, I think Brian was 18 and Chris was 16.
Something like that, yeah. They're both still teenagers.
Yeah, and this is already like the third game that Brian has done in 3 years. Was Pack Dude Monster Maze, which is a 512K, full background music playing in the background while you're playing, hardware, horizontal, and vertical scrolling. One of the very few CoCo 3 games I know of that did that, especially for back then. And actually one of the premier titles, to be honest. I would rank it up pretty close to stuff like Crystal City and Xenix and some of the other big titles on the CoCo 3 or Photon or whatever. But we're going to have both of them on as our guests for an interview. So if you guys have any questions about the game that we're playing this week or the Pack Dude Monster Maze that we played probably about a year ago or something, and Pack Dude, the original, which we have not played yet, have your questions ready for next week, and you can ask them either through the chat or on the panel. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Unless somebody else had anything special to add here, I think that's pretty well the show for this week.
Nope. Should do it. I guess let me push this button over here.
Yes. Yep.
This concludes another episode of the CoCo Nation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCo Nation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCo Nation Show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCo Nation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCo Nation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server. CoCo forever.
The greater Manchester area.
Oh, for the show.
We're back. Okay, so till next week.
Yep, till next week.
Okay.
And then I should mention this. We haven't got anything planned for this as far as I know, unless you guys, I've been busy with work, so maybe I've missed it. But not next week, but the week after is the 300th episode. Are we doing anything for that?
Saying it's a 300 episode.
Party.
Amazing we've made it this far.
Right? We ain't dead yet.
Who's
I
bringing
don't know if
the
anybody
cake?
wants to do any special graphics or write a song or do a little dance for us on the 300th episode. But
Oh my God.
Yes, but you're the music guy.
It'd be great to have a montage of the previous 100 like we had at the 200.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
That would be
Hey.
Brian from Australia's doing. Brian Joyce.
And
is he
hopefully
still
we won't-
active? Because I haven't heard from him in a long time.
No, I haven't either.
And hopefully we won't add the cat barf to it.
Right. Well, so your
That was the highlight.
Your bedspread's looking really nice so far, but
I think 100
Yeah.
episodes of cat barf highlights.
I noticed Ron's not has dropped off. I think
Yeah,
he,
he's sick though right now, so I wasn't expecting him to
yeah.
stick around too long.
I think COVID got to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Him and his wife both. His wife got it first, and then he got it. But
Which
she's
at
starting to
best-
recover now, so hopefully it doesn't last too long.
yeah, at best it's the flu. So let's hope it's the flu and they'll get over it and life goes on.
Franklin Harris is sweetening the pot. He says, let's give away some Retro Rewind gift certificates.
Oh, there's an idea.
Hmm.
See, now there's actually a reason to watch the show.
Right.
Sorry, Rocky.
You have something to gain.
Do you have anything special as far as a game pick for the 300th episode, Ken?
Well, apparently I chose Treasure Island for one that'll end on the 300th episode.
No, I thought maybe you might pick one to start on the 300th though to kind of celebrate. I don't know what that might be, but
yeah.
Predator.
I have to pick a game.
Predator, narrated by David Ladd.
Right. Pick something evil.
I did.
Now, don't even get me started, Nick.
Do you know harm?
Actually, we'll have a head-to-head David Ladd and Mr. Dave, because Mr. Dave likes Predator and David Ladd hates it. So let's have the two of them play head-to-head and just argue it out. That'd be fun.
Just live on
Mr.
the
Dave's
show.
probably going to modify his.
Okay.
Anyway, I kind of forgot it was the 300th episode coming up, so I didn't have any plans for it. And the way it works, I'm not going to have any time to do anything anyway. But I just thought I'd throw it out there. It's only a couple weeks away. If you guys want to come up with something special, maybe like pick a favorite part of the last 100 episodes, like you said, because we kind of did a 200 that covered the previous ones.
Are you
Just to kind of.
Are you even going to be here that day?
Oh, is this your
yeah, I have a
calendar.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Next week is the 4th, and then the 11th is the 300th.
Nope, my funeral's on the 18th. So.
Well,
not
let's
my
hope it's
funeral,
not your
personally.
funeral. Talk about some pre-planning here.
That's right. He's got it planned.
If I keep watching the
Whether
show, I
you
might want
need
to end
it
it
or
all.
not, your funeral is that day.
There's your spoiler.
That's pretty tacky to plan your funeral before your uncle's.
And by the way, can you keep the latest Arctic blast up there north of the border?
That one came from Russia.
I don't need it down here.
Right.
Russia had the super cold weather. They had, I think, the record in 100 years or something, and somewhere in Siberia, and that actually crawled over the North Pole and hit us.
Oh yes,
So
and
you can blame them.
news-
That's not us this time.
Our
You
news
can keep
programs here have been having a blast with that. It's just like cold front from Russia invading Canada. Really?
So, Russia invading Canada, right?
Yeah.
Can we nuke
Okay.
it like you guys were planning to do with a hurricane a couple years back?
I don't know. Anyway, I better get going. So wave
Awesome.
goodbye. We'll push the button.
All right.
Okay.
Later.
See you all next week.
Bye, everyone. See you
Bye.
next week.
Goodbye.